CFL 84. Brought to you by Carling O'Keefe, Brewers of OV, and Miller High Life. By Ford of Canada. At Ford, quality is job one. Driving is believing. And your local Petro-Canada, dealers and agents, putting Canada first. And now for all the action, let's join our CBC sports crew.
And welcome to CFL 84. I'm Don Martin at our control center, and today, part 2 of our weekend with the West as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers host the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Bombers now faced with the challenge of keeping up with BC, the Lions winning last night over Calgary. The Riders are still looking for their second win of the season. In the East, the Argos, looking for a 5th straight win, are home to second-place Montreal. We'll keep you up to date on that game throughout the afternoon, but right now, let's get out to Winnipeg, where Don Whitman is standing by.
Thanks, Don. Well, it's an absolute scorcher this afternoon in Winnipeg, the hottest day of the year. The temperature, 35 degrees. Perhaps that's somewhat appropriate, however, because the Winnipeg Blue Bombers during the first half of the season have been the hottest team in the Canadian Football League. After losing their season opener to Calgary, they have reeled off 6 straight wins. This afternoon against Saskatchewan, they'll be attempting to make it 7, Leo, and move into a first-place tie in the West with British Columbia.
Well, I think they're a great football team, Don. I think probably the defense gets the giant share of the credit. But let's not forget this offense, and especially that big offensive line that has afforded Tom Clements and John Huffnagel the opportunity to run one of the more diversified offenses in the entire CFL. They can move the ball through the air with consistency. They've got all the stats to prove they're one of the leading passing teams. But above and beyond that, they can also sustain the football with the ground attack when they have to, especially with Willard Reeves in there doing an outstanding job. At this time, I've picked them as being one of the most outstanding teams in the league, if not the most outstanding on offense. And Ron, how's the Saskatchewan Roughriders going to head this outfit this afternoon?
Well, Leo, there's no doubt about it. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have had a problem winning football games this season. But the one part of their football club that has played well is the defensive side of the ball. They play the style of defense where they bend but they don't break. They play a deep zone. They don't allow people to beat them deep. And for individuals on that football club, they've had a couple that have been standouts. One is Jeff Roberts, number 71, who was a linebacker in college and with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's been their leader in sacks. He's playing the right defensive end position. And the newcomer, Billy Jackson, number 45, the rookie linebacker from Mississippi State, better known as the Hitman. These two guys have played extremely well for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and that whole defense is going to have to play well today, Don, if they're going to do anything to the Bombers.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders had all sorts of problems last week with their offense. The return of Joe Paupow this afternoon should help. We'll have the opening kickoff in just a moment, but first, let's go to CFL Control and Don Martin.
Thank you, gentlemen. Coming up at halftime, a special report on the Prix d'Été from Bluebonnets in Montreal. On the road again, the favorite in Canada's richest harness race. A full report at halftime, along with highlights from the Riders and Bombers in Winnipeg, and we'll keep you up to date on the Argos Concord game here in Toronto. When we return, the opening kickoff from Winnipeg on CFL 84.
Welcome to Miller Time. It's brewed here. It's yours and mine. Bring your thirst yourself right here. You've got the time. We've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller Time.
Miller High Life, brewed here, and one of the best beers you can buy. Welcome to Miller Time.
Courageous people coping with a crippling disease, arthritis. Laden with resources, Canada's high Arctic has always been a mystery. On rock, ice, and oil, some of the fascinating discoveries being made in this remarkable region. Money and the people that control it. A look inside a little-known world. The brokers. Take a good look at your world on CBC television.
With a temperature of 35 degrees, a beautiful sunny afternoon in the Manitoba capital, there undoubtedly will be a few pounds shed by the 68 players who have dressed for this CFL encounter, the first of a home-and-home battle this afternoon at Winnipeg Stadium, next Sunday at Taylor Field in Regina in the traditional Labor Day weekend game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers kicking off short, trying to find that dead spot. However, the Saskatchewan Roughriders prepared for it, although not a particularly good move over there on the part of Ray Elgard. Rather than catch the ball, it almost looked wrong as though he was trying to throw it out of bounds.
It sure looked to me like he's going to bat it right out of bounds. He had the opportunity to just catch it. I don't understand that, but not a bad way to start to try to drop it into that hole back there and go get it. But Elgard was there to make the play, and they did get the ball back. So I guess that's all that mattered.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders pleased to have Joe Powell back in the lineup, calling the signals. The experienced quarterback missed last week's game against Calgary because of a bruised shoulder. Powell caused the Bombers some problems in preseason. Powell throwing over the middle. There's a penalty flag on the play. The pass was intended for Tim Kearse. Holding will be charged against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. John Ireland, the referee this afternoon.
Holding. Saskatchewan number 58. Decline. Second down.
Calgary product Vic Stevenson guilty of the holding call. So it will be 2nd and 10 as the Blue Bombers decline the penalty. Saskatchewan scrimmaging at its own 33-yard line. Little swing pass to Kearse over the middle. He'll get the first down. Out to the 45-yard line, taken down there by David Shaw.
An extremely deep drop there by their linebackers, and Kearse just came right underneath those linebackers and came wide open.
Well, they run Kearse underneath it, and then DeFrance goes down about 14 and crosses deep. Just hit the short man. As you say, Leo, the linebackers get out of there. That's the only guy left.
Well, that's one advantage that maybe the Saskatchewan team sees, and that big speed that Winnipeg's got, and that's if they'll get deep in a hurry, and maybe they can throw under them.
The first down against Winnipeg coming 29 minutes quicker than their initial first down did against the Calgary Stampeders. Fraser on the far side, hit immediately by Donovan Rose.
Just a quick out pattern. Fraser went down about 6 yards and turned to the outside, and Powell threw it on time. That's a pretty difficult pass for the corner to stop when it's thrown on time like that.
Well, we've seen Joe Powell over the years, when he has a hot hand, look about as good as anybody, and then we've seen him at other times look very lackadaisical. So far this afternoon, he looks like he's got some spring on that ball.
Well, he hit the first two, and that gives you confidence.
Handoff straight up the middle, and Craig Ellis has the first down. Craig Ellis ranks number 5 among CFL rushers. He is also the Saskatchewan Roughriders' leading pass receiver. He's made a contribution of over 700 yards to their offense.
Well, he's played well for him, not only on offense, but returning those kicks. He's their leading receiver, I believe, but he's an excellent kick returner.
He had a 92-yarder, the longest in the CFL, against Calgary last Sunday night. First and 10, Saskatchewan. They are at the Winnipeg 53-yard line. Penalty flag on the play. Powell having difficulty finding a receiver. Down he goes. Tony Norman was the man who got to him from his defensive end position. We'll wait for referee John Ireland to sort things out for us, but there were 2 penalty flags on the play.
Well, he's going to throw it short, but the offensive lineman moved. So that offensive guard moved. That forced them to throw the flag right away. And then they made the sack on him, and they got him in trouble, 2nd and long. Don't want any of these situations against Winnipeg.
2nd and 15 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders back at their own 51-yard line. They'll be lining up and going after him. Here they come, but Powell gets it away, intended for Tim Kearse. Incomplete. He has maneuvered in behind Ken Haley, who leads the CFL in interceptions. However, Kearse initially was looking over his outside shoulder and then had to swing back to the inside.
Well, when I watched him go downfield, I thought he was just going to keep right on going down the middle because, as you say, he got behind Haley and then he went to the outside on like a corner route and the ball was thrown over the wrong shoulder. Just a little miscommunication.
I think if he was reading that defense that time, Ron, when he broke loose beyond Haley, he should have kept right on going and looked for the ball.
Great line.
Not a good kick by Hickey. As a matter of fact, it will go out of bounds in the vicinity of the 33-yard line. So that's where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will take over after just a 28-yard punt by Paul Hickey. We have 11:58 remaining in the opening quarter.
What's this? Says here Super Lotto's having another bonus draw. Bonus prizes of $10,000. Is that possible? 500 of them. Do you believe that? Why, just anyone can go out and buy a Super Lotto ticket and win a $10,000 bonus prize. In fact, 500 anyones can win $10,000. Can you imagine? Anyone, $10,000 richer. Just like, wake up, you two. Ah!
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with their first offensive series. The ball between the 32 and 33-yard lines. That 28-yard kick by Paul Hickey, giving the Winnipeg Blue Bombers better field position than perhaps they had anticipated. Tom Clements, the starting quarterback. Willard Reeves, the leading rusher in the CFL. Boyd and House and Poplawski and Murphy, the receiving corps. And, of course, John Bongs, the veteran offensive center, who will celebrate his 34th birthday tomorrow, anchoring that all-Canadian offensive line. Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have made a change. They have Sean Kehoe in there in place of Dan Hucklack. The give is to Willard Reeves, and Reeves got to the line of scrimmage, stopped there by Rick Moore. Moore, who was a member of the Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts last season, went to the United States Football League, came back to the Argos, was subsequently traded for Vince Goldsmith, and they have made some adjustments defensively. Up front, they're the same. Ken McEachran is not dressed. His spot has been taken by Ken Rose. McEachran suffering an injury last week against the Calgary Stampeders. It's going to keep him out for a few weeks. On second down, Clements with the time, throwing deep for Boyd. He's got it. He did a beautiful job of keeping his feet in bounds while waiting for that Clements pass to get there.
Well, you saw the blitz come from Jackson coming from the outside, but you can't give Tom Clements this much time. He's got a lot of time, and it's a well-thrown football, but as you say, watch him keep those feet in bounds.
If you look at that pass and that completion, there couldn't be any margin of error on it whatsoever, and he got it in there just perfectly.
Clements flipping it out to Willard Reeves. Another first down for Winnipeg, and that's something that Clements does so well. And over the last few weeks, he has been the hottest quarterback in the CFL.
They're going with a quick count up here. Tommy's taking him right to the line of scrimmage without a huddle.
First and 10. The ball is at the 33-yard line. The handoff to Willard Reeves. Reeves has a pickup of about 5. You know that quick count moving up to the line of scrimmage without benefit of a huddle. When we see teams do it in the final 2 minutes of a half or at the end of the ball game, people wonder why they don't do it earlier in the ball game. Well, Winnipeg is doing it. Clements is in trouble. He goes down back at the 37-yard line, caught there by Ken Rose. Ron, as a quarterback, perhaps you can offer our viewers an explanation about that 2-minute drill and why it isn't used more often during the course of a game.
You know, Don, there's a lot of things you can talk about. One thing it does do, it does not allow the defense to get their signals from the sideline. This time the Riders, however, did change their defense. Instead of playing zone, played a man-to-man and blitzed Johnson as he was in on the sack. So this is one thing. Another thing you can do, on a hot day, you might be trying to wear those big defensive linemen out, not give them a chance to get their breath. A lot of reasons if you have a quarterback like Clements.
The disadvantage to it is that if you call 2 plays in a row, the second play sometimes don't work against that defense. You don't have time to call the automatic.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are on the board with the 44-yard field goal by Trevor Kennard. 9:57, the time remaining in the first quarter. In case you've just joined us, it is a scorcher this afternoon. 35 degrees is the temperature. The wind blowing out of the southwest, and that is a hot wind.
Another thing about that quick huddle is that your offensive line gets used to coming out and getting set. And when they go up the line of scrimmage without coming out of a normal huddle, a lot of times they're a little disheveled too, and that causes them to be a little bit off on their timing.
First and 10, Saskatchewan from the 35-yard line. Penalty flag on the play. They flip it out to Craig Ellis. It was deflected at the line of scrimmage by Galbert Fowler, but Ellis still made the catch. However, he loses about 2 yards on the play.
We're going to get an illegal substitution against the defensive back 24, Haley. The Bombers wasn't in the ball game, and the safety man, Flagel, tried to adjust, and Haley ran on the field too late.
There's the signal from referee John Ireland. So the illegal substitution moves the ball to the 45. It will be 1st and 10 there for Saskatchewan.
Illegal substitution. Winnipeg number 24. First down.
Now, we talked to Cal Murphy before the football game. As you see him go back there, the ball was almost knocked down, and that's the kind that gets intercepted. But as Ron pointed out, there was an illegal substitution, so to no avail anyhow.
Craig Ellis fought his way for a gain of 5 yards. He appeared to be stopped at the line of scrimmage, but he kept on twisting and squirming. And a little slow in getting to his feet is Tony Norman, but he appears to be all right.
I was going to say, Don, we talked to Cal before the game, and he assured us that there was no way that they were going to take this team lightly. But if these players do, and especially in this heat this afternoon, this Regina team's awful hungry, and they could jump on them in a hurry.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have a record of 1-5-1 coming into this ball game. Pass complete for a first down. No, they rule no catch for Ray Algard. There's also a penalty flag in the Saskatchewan backfield. It will be a holding call against the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Holding. Saskatchewan number 57. Second down repeated.
Linebacker will blitz. He moves out. Elgard goes down, and there's nobody underneath the coverage. He should make this catch, but he's going to be called back. You see the blitz go and the linebacker run out of there. It's wide open in the middle, but they got called for holding, so it doesn't matter.
2nd and 15. Foul. Flipping it back to Greg Fager, and I don't think that was really a planned play.
No, I would hardly think that that's a planned play.
And I think the last thing in the world they wanted Feger to do was throw the football once he got it. I think Papa just said, look, they're closing in on me. Take the ball, see if you can make something out of it. And Feger said, well, if you don't want to throw it, I'll throw it.
I know what he said. It's me or you, fella. I did that one time. Handed it to a guard.
Did he throw it?
No. Got hammered.
Bombers were going after that when Hickey this time gets away a much better kick to Ken Haley. Haley getting to the outside and then forced out of bounds at the 43-yard line by Ken Rose. A 49-yard kick by Paul Hickey and a run back of 22 by Ken Haley. Winnipeg leads 3-0 with 7:55 remaining in the opening quarter.
Miller High Life, brewed here, and one of the best beers you can buy. Welcome to Miller time.
You know, we're proud to be farmers. We've worked the land for many years, and during that time, the government has made us pay more to transport the crops we grow, increased our taxes, and let interest rates rise out of sight.
Sometimes they act like they don't care about us at all.
But there are people who will speak up for us and our farms. The New Democrats.
And in this election, that's where our vote's going.
The New Democrats, speaking up for you.
Blue Bombers will start 1st and 10 from their own 43-yard line. Trevor Kennard with a 42-yard field goal, accounting for the only scoring thus far. Bombers with a record of 6 wins and a loss. Their lone loss in the season opener at the hands of the Calgary Stampeders. Quickly inside to Joe Poplawski. That will be a pickup of 7 yards. He was stopped there by Steve Johnson.
They brought the outside linebacker from the weak side, and as soon as Clemens saw him come, he just gave the ball to Poplawski.
Boy, Tom Clemens read the blitz. Watch 42. He's blitzing. The outside backer's blitzing. He just raises it up. Not only does the quarterback have to read that, but Plosky has to see that and know that if they do blitz like that, he'll get in the middle and I'll be there, you throw it.
As soon as that linebacker passes him, he looks over his inside shoulder and looks for the ball.
2nd and 3, and they won't get it. Willard Reeves was met right in the hole by Al John. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are forced to send in the punting unit. This Saskatchewan defensive unit has played well throughout the season. They've been an overworked defensive unit because the offense has been less than productive.
Been on the field too long. The longer you're on that football field, the harder it is for you to maintain that intensity that you start the game with.
Bob Cameron, one of the premier punters in the CFL, kicking to Fran McDermott and Tim Kearse. Kearse retreats to his own 5-yard line. Caught there by Scott Flagel. Flagel did an excellent job of warding off a couple of blocks to track down Tim Kearse, who was trying to get to the outside. A kick of 56 yards by Bob Cameron.
He's done an excellent job all year on those special teams. He's an overly aggressive kid that gets down there and really isn't afraid to hit anybody when he gets there. He's done a great job with him.
He's got an ideal temperament for a safety. I mean, he likes to hit people, but he's tall enough and fast enough to have good range in the secondary to play fast defense.
He has tremendous athletic ability. He was quite a track and field star in high school.
Well, they must have thought an awful lot of him. He's replacing Paul Bennett, who's been a landmark out here for a lot of years. He's now with the Toronto Argonauts.
Pow throwing to the sidelines and going out of bounds is Greg Figure with a gain of 8 yards. Pow was being chased in behind his goal area by Tyrone Jones, and he was fortunate to find Figure open down the sidelines.
It's kind of a strange pattern to throw into the sidelines. 3 receivers to one side of the field. Doesn't give you a lot of working room, but maybe the Bombers are overshifting wide side and it's open because they did complete it for 8 yards. You take anything down there.
Wallace comes out wide left. It's 2nd and 2, Saskatchewan. Right at the line of scrimmage, Craig Ellis was hit and then driven back. He tried to go up high, but there were 4 people waiting for him.
Well, they were just sitting in that hole waiting.
Well, they're ruling that his forward progress carried across the 15-yard line. I guess by going up high. The plane of the ball carried over the 15. First and 10, Saskatchewan. Pow throws a completion out to the 29-yard line. That will be another first down.
Boy, it looks like the rest has helped Joe Pow. He's right on target today.
Chris DeFrance on the receiving end of that throw.
Just a little play action. DeFrance just runs down and finds a hole between the linebackers, being covered pretty well, but Pow got it in there.
Pow has hit on 4 of his first 5 attempts. Sam McCallis has gone in. Doug McIver is out. Sideline pattern, and Victor Wallace makes the catch, but it was almost 6 the other way for Donovan Rose.
Donovan Rose is getting close. They've thrown 2 quick outs on him, and the next one he's going to be there. They better throw one deep quick. Get him back off of him.
They better pump out there and have him turn up the field.
Turn up the field.
He talked about Paul Bennett. Well, Bennett was traded to the Toronto Argonauts just before the end of the preseason schedule for Donovan Rose. 2nd and 4 after that 6-yard pass. Intended for Tim Kearse, incomplete. 4:09 is the time remaining in the first quarter. The only scoring, a 42-yard field goal by Trevor Kennard as the Saskatchewan Roughriders send out their punting unit again. The Roughriders with just 1 victory during the course of this 1984 season. That was over the Ottawa Roughriders, a game that saw Dave Ridgway establish a CFL record with 8 field goals. Reuben Berry, the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, talking to his quarterback as Paul Hickey tries his 3rd punt of the ball game. Play is whistled down. Penalty flag on the play. Now, was it procedure or offside? Offside, the charge against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, so the Saskatchewan Roughriders will retain possession.
Say that defensive line or the...
Offside. Winnipeg number 66. First down.
That defensive line on the team that's trying to penetrate to get to that kicker has got to look over at those yard markers and see, and if it's 5 yards or less, they've got to really be careful of that offside, because that's one of the biggest mistakes in the world, to make that mistake down here and give somebody a first down.
He did get back, but he must have made contact, and they whistled it dead. Peter
Vandenbos was the man who was offside on that play. Pass incomplete, intended for Stu Fraser. Tyrone Jones was pressuring quarterback Joe Paupau. To make room on the roster for Paupau for this afternoon's game, the Saskatchewan Roughriders moved Nicky Hall to the reserve list. He started last Sunday against the Calgary Stampeders. 2nd and 10, the ball between the 39 and 40-yard lines. 3:29 is the time left in this opening quarter. This time Wallace lines up wide right. Fraser comes out to the left. Trying to set up the screen, and it was knocked down. I believe it was Casey Afalapa who knocked that down. He's number 61. He's out of the University of Hawaii. And Afalapa is replacing John Sturdivant, who is going to be out from 4 to 6 weeks. He was picked up by Winnipeg when the British Columbia Lions placed him on waivers. He only arrived in Winnipeg on Monday night. Didn't have a great deal of time to prepare for this game against Saskatchewan, but he's playing that defensive end spot on the left side. James Murphy goes back to his 20-yard line. They set up the return to the right. And Murphy runs it back to the 48. Dropped down there by Steve Johnson. A 51-yard kick and a 28-yard run back by James Murphy. We have 2:50 remaining in the opening quarter. The Blue Bombers will scrimmage from their own 48 when we return.
Petro-Canada is energy. To the people of Ontario, that means economic energy, fueling new investments, stimulating new technology, creating new jobs in manufacturing, engineering, transportation, steel. That's Petro-Canada's commitment. You can see it in Ontario. And wherever you see this sign, Petro-Canada, putting Canada first.
Halfway through the party, everyone ran out of things to say. Then, at the stroke of midnight, someone appeared with the Sperry PC. It looked like most other personal computers, but it had a more comfortable keyboard, dramatic color graphics, IBM software compatibility, and it ran 50% faster than the IBM PC. Now everyone had something to talk about again. The Sperry PC, what the personal computer should have been in the first place.
Tonight, the San Francisco Giants visit Montreal's Olympic Stadium to start the final month of the regular season. Expos Baseball, Wednesday night here on CBC, blacked out in Southern Ontario.
The Bombers 1st and 10 from their own 48. To the sidelines, it's picked off. Billy Jackson was over there to take it away from Sean Kehoe. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders will take over 1st and 10 at midfield. Good defensive job by Jackson.
Well, he's played very well for this ball club all year. And, you know, when you talk about a quarterback throwing the ball late, he'll go right out in the flat. And if you see Clements, he's open right away, but he holds the ball and lets the defender get underneath it. And it's just a little bit late, Leo. And you see the linebacker running with him. He shouldn't be able to cover him. He just threw it a little bit too late, and he's got inside position.
The linebacker just came at a 45-degree angle and just sprinted out there. He didn't get the ball over him.
That's the 10th time that Clements has been intercepted this season. Throwing deep for Stu Fraser, incomplete.
Don, I'll tell you one thing. They're having an awful time blocking Tyrone Jones. He has been all over foul pile a couple times, but watch the hit that he puts on him this time.
I think he felt that one.
Yeah, you can tell right while he's laying there, he felt it. He's been in there 3 or 4 times already today.
Well, we asked Coach Cal Murphy prior to the game if Tyrone Jones was having as good a year as it appeared to us he was having, and Cal simply said, yep. Maybe even better. Oh, what a hit on Craig Ellis from Aaron Brown.
Well, when you sneak across that middle and that ball's thrown in there, those linebackers love it. You'll see Craig Ellis. He's in the backfield now. He's just going to sneak across the field. There he is. But watch Aaron Brown.
Well, they said you could get underneath us once or twice, but we'll be looking for you coming across after this. And they saw him coming all the way, and when that ball was in the air, he closed the distance and really put it on him.
He said, we'll give you 3 yards and a headache.
There's McIver sitting there as the thinker.
Well, Doug McIver suffered a knee injury earlier in this quarter. His spot has been taken by Stan McCose. There's a good kick by Paul Hickey. It'll sail into the end zone. James Murphy is going to let it roll through the end zone for a single point. That comes with 1:23 remaining in this opening quarter. Paul Hickey, who hit his first only 28 yards, booms that one 76 yards for the single point.
I think as this ball game wears off, we're going to get an indication of which is the best conditioned team, because this heat is overpowering this afternoon. You can notice them coming off the field offensively and defensively already. They're beginning to wilt a little bit.
They're looking for the wet towels every time they come off the field to drape over their head. Willard Reeves gets the call, gets some blocking. All the way to the 23-yard line. Finally brought down by the safety, Glenn Suter.
That's the play right.
52 yards for Willard Reeves.
That's the play right there that Willard Reeves does so well. You watch in front of Willard Reeves, Huckelek go out and kick out the outside man right there, and he comes it up inside, got a guard in front of him, and turns on the jet. This guy is always about one step away from breaking it. He stopped right there and tried to change his direction, and they caught him from the back, but that was a great run.
52 yards for Willard Reeves. Now this is Tom Clements running with the football to the 15-yard line. Brought down by Billy Jackson.
They put good pressure on Clements that time. He really didn't have a chance to set up. He planted that back foot, and then just kind of leaped over a couple people to get through there.
I know Coach Cal Murphy cringes every time he sees Tommy pull that ball down and start running with it. But as nifty as he is and as many yards as he gets, it's still very dangerous. He's been hurt on numerous occasions now running with football.
It's 2nd and 2, Winnipeg. The ball at the 15-yard line of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
2nd and 2.
Penalty flag on the play. Pass complete to Rick House. First down at the 5. He was upset by Fran McDermott. That is also the final play of the opening quarter. However, there was also a penalty flag on the play.
Welcome to Miller Time. It's brewed here. It's yours and mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time. We've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller Time. Yours and mine.
Miller High Life, brewed here, and one of the best beers you can buy. Welcome to Miller Time.
Come on, Canada. Join the Ford Best Built Quality Celebration. It's Tempo and Topaz's first anniversary, and we're featuring low prices on the most successful new car names of '84. Get up to $912 off right now on front-wheel drive Tempo and Topaz, 2 of the most technologically advanced cars on the road today, from the maker of the best-built North American cars and trucks. Come in during our quality celebration now for best-built quality and value.
Second to none at Ford. Quality is your one.
This is a design play by Tom Clements. He's going to drop and roll. This back will come over, the tackle blocks, and then they pull the guard as his personal interference man, and then Rick House just comes right across behind the linebackers, and he'll get open. But watch Clements. Just comes straight back, and then away he goes. There comes the guard. Now you get out there with him. He's your protector. And then Rick House just comes underneath it, makes the catch.
Oh, when you're down there on about 15-yard line, you've got 2nd down and 2 yards to go with Willard Reeves in the backfield, and you back up into the backfield 7 yards to throw the pass. That's a mistake. And I don't care whether it's Clements or any other veteran quarterback. You've got to use that 3-down territory and get the first.
There was a penalty flag on the play. It was Saskatchewan offside. The penalty naturally declined. Willard Reeves trying to get to the end zone. He picked up about 3 yards, but was stopped by Eddie Lowe.
That's a good job by Reeves. He tried to outrun Lowe, but Lowe just wouldn't have any of it. He just came along and got him. Stayed with him. That was a good play.
Willard Reeves came into the game as the leading rusher in the CFL with 621 yards. He's added 61 more this afternoon.
Watch the power of this man when he's running. He knocks them backward, and that's one good thing about Willard Reeves running with the football. He's always turned upfield and gaining yardage, as he is right there.
Touchdown for Willard Reeves.
You see who he lands on, Leo? His lead back, Kehoe.
Kehoe's his lead back, and I gave Huckluck credit before for making the block. Kehoe has been in there, and you'll see Kehoe lead Willard Reeves right through the hole. And this is what I'm talking about. When you've got a guy like Willard Reeves and you're in 3-down territory, 10 or 15-yard line, 2nd down and 2 yards to go, use them. You've got 2 downs to make 2 yards, and you're going to do it.
The point after by Trevor Kennard. And that gives the Blue Bombers a 10-1 lead over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We're just 52 seconds into the second quarter. The Bombers lost their season opener to the Calgary Stampeders at McMahon Stadium. Cal Murphy less than satisfied with the performance in that game. 9 turnovers contributed to the downfall of the Blue Bombers in that one. And I wonder, Leo, if Cal Murphy may have been issuing some instructions there to Trevor Kennard about what he wants him to do on this kickoff attempt. Cal had indicated to us prior to the game that we may see something a little different on some of the kickoffs.
Well, in the first kickoff, they tried to kick it in the void spot to the left of their kicking team, just down the hash marks about 20 yards. And the Saskatchewan team made a good adjustment on it, although they shouldn't have tried to knock it out of bounds. Aldag should have caught the ball, but they still were on top of it. I wouldn't be surprised, because Cal Murphy is a gambler, and he'll take advantage of everything, to see an onside kick one of these times.
Well, he's coming, every game, I think any team playing Winnipeg always prepares for the gimmick play. So he's always got them, and it's usually in some phase of the kicking game. He's already tried one.
Look at it over to the right over there. There's some room over there to squib it.
Now he's kicking it deep down the right side. And it sails into the end zone and rolls out. So it's a first down at the 25-yard line. Saskatchewan Roughriders without the opportunity to return that Trevor Kennard kick. This is something that Winnipeg does on a regular basis. They kick it to the right side.
Well, I
think a tendency that way.
I think that comes from Cal Murphy. When he was with the Eskimos, they always kicked it to the right corner down there, and they learned to cover one area of the field, and it does make it a little bit easier on your kickoff covering team.
It's like anything else in football. If you repeat something long enough, you get it to perfection, and if you keep doing that, you're going to do it about as good as you can do it. Little bootleg pass here.
Pop on to Elgard, and Elgard gets to the midfield stride. Brought down by Aaron Brown. Ray Elgard, a second-round pick in 1983. He played college ball at Utah.
Pow just fakes one way and comes back and had to pull up on that bootleg, but wisely looked downfield, saw Elgard coming across, got the ball to him, and I tell you, Pow makes a big difference with that offense.
That's a good pattern by Elgard. He got in behind the linebackers. You saw Frank Robinson, 37, jump, but he could not quite reach it.
They say Elgard's one of the physically tougher guys on that football team.
That was a gain of 30. Pow firing it to Greg Figger as he could not find a receiver deep down the sidelines. Initially, he was looking for Stu Fraser. Figger was caught immediately by Tyrone Jones.
Well, we said they'd been running the quick out pattern to the wide side of the field. And this time, Stu Fraser went down, ran his quick out, and then turned it upfield deep. On all the other passes, we've seen Tyrone Jones in making a tackle. But watch 35 right here. Pow looks for his out. It's not there. He throws the figure, and look who's there waiting on him to make the tackle. Number 35 is there. He wants that out. He's trying to go deep, but the corner is back. But watch who's sitting there waiting on the tackle.
Back to the live action as the pass is complete to Mike Collymore. He was obtained this past week from the Ottawa Rough Riders for John Park. Collymore actually started his CFL career right here in Winnipeg with the Blue Bombers. It's a pickup of 8. It will be 3rd and 2.
Comes the punt team.
They're not taking any chances, or are they?
Oh,
no, they're
very undecided on that sidelines as to
field
what
goal.
they're going to do.
Here comes Ridgway.
They're going to send Dave Ridgway into the game to attempt a field goal. This one will be 55 yards.
He'll reach it. He can reach it. He's got a strong leg. He should have the wind with him, doesn't he? If there is one.
Well, Ridgway set that record for most field goals in a single game on July 29th in Ottawa as he split the uprights 8 times. It's long enough. It's good.
Good kick.
Well, that was 55 yards, and he could have made it if it was 65.
So it's a 10-4 ball game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading the Saskatchewan Rough Riders with 12:01 remaining in the first half.
When you're doing it right, it feels so right. That makes all the difference. Your care and your pride go side by side. That makes all the difference. Doing it right. So when it comes to your beer and good friends are here, make it a conference. Conference doing it right.
Brian Mulrooney.
Like you, I think government could be doing more about unemployment. Take manpower training. We need a new approach with business and labor and education working hand in hand. What's been missing is a government that believes in cooperation and can encourage it. You help me, and we'll do it together.
We're gonna do it all together, 'cause we're voting PC now. We're voting PC now.
From Flushing Meadows, New York, the 1984 U.S. Open Tennis Championships, followed by the Distaff Stakes, fly from Edmonton. That's on Saturday, followed by more U.S. Open coverage Sunday at 4 Eastern here on CBC.
Pitts on the kickoff return, and he is upset at the 35-yard line. And now let's get a CFL update, and here's Don Martin.
The Argos lead 4-0 in the first quarter at Exhibition Stadium, forced to punt in their own end zone. Montreal's Harry Skipper there for the block. Recovery, a touchdown. The Concord are in front 7-4 first quarter. Now back to Don Whitman in Winnipeg.
Well, the Montreal Concord looked impressive a week ago in defeating the Edmonton Eskimos. They are off to a good start against the Toronto Argonauts at CNE Stadium this afternoon. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers from their own 35-yard line. Clements under pressure. He just got it away to Joe Poplawski, and he was dumped in the seat of his pants by Jeff Roberts just as he threw. You'll note the star on the back of the helmet of Tom Clements. Willard Reeves also has one. So has Tyrone Jones. As a matter of fact, the Blue Bombers lead the league in Rothman Stars of the Week selections. They've been named 5 times, and each player chosen gets the right to wear that star on the back of his helmet. Second and 5. Quickly inside, incomplete, intended for Rick House. He's hurt.
Well, Fran McDermott saw that coming, and he really come in low on him.
I think he took McDermott's helmet right on the knee. In the process, McDermott lost his helmet. Rick House appears to be in a great deal of pain.
Well, Clements sees that little dump again, and it's open. House looks for the ball, but watch how fast McDermott comes, and watch that head. Right on the leg, right in the knee area.
You see that linebacker come from the outside, and Tommy just looks up, and as soon as he penetrates, House looks over his inside shoulder, look for the ball, but McDermott, as you say, came up there and went right for the vulnerable spot on the knee. And as a result, House is still stretched on the field.
Fran McDermott, St. Mary's College product, 5'10", 180 pounds, a good hitter. And Rick House out of Simon Fraser University goes heads over heels, but of more concern right now than that incomplete pass is the condition of the right knee of Rick House.
They're checking the patella area right at the kneecap. I would guess that it's a bruise right on the kneecap rather than some kind of a ligament or a cartilage damage. It's probably just a bruise with a helmet hitting right on the kneecap.
Well, I think it's always a good sign to see a player after a hit like that walking off.
He's walking pretty good, too. It won't surprise me to see him back in there.
The only thing about that kind of a hit, sometimes it gets fluid on it, and it gets a little bit stiff, so they better keep him moving.
Third down kick by Bob Cameron. He hangs it high. McDermott takes it at the 15-yard line. They've got the return set up to the right. But he can't escape Delbert Fowler. John Pitts was also over there to help out. That was a 54-yard kick by Bob Cameron.
I don't think Fowler thought that he was going to make the turn on him, and he kind of loafed down there a little bit. And then in the last minute, being blessed with great speed, he was able to turn it on and still make the play. But he let up there for a moment, and it could have been dangerous because he's the last line of contain over there.
17-yard run back by McDermott. It's 1st and 10 Saskatchewan. They are at the 27-yard line. Greg Fieger fights his way to the 30. That will be a pickup of 3 yards. It will be 2nd and 7 Saskatchewan. While we have an opportunity, we'd like to say hello to Marguerite Spalding, the wife of our producer John Spalding. And Marguerite, we hope you're well on the road to recovery. Marguerite has been hospitalized for the last while, and we all wish you the best from our Western telecast crew.
John always calls her Maggie. That's the first time I ever heard her name was Marguerite. But Maggie, that comes from all of us.
Little swing pass to Craig Ellis. He has the first down. He runs hard when he gets into the open field. And he works his way out to the 45-yard line where Ken Haley and Donovan Rose combined to bring him down.
He's a pretty tough kid, that Craig Ellis. I saw him before put a block on Tyrone Jones on pass protection in there and suck that helmet right up under the chin and just stop Tyrone Jones right in his tracks.
He just dumps it out quick. You'll see 58 Vic Stevenson tries to get out in front of him. Boy, he's got a lot of room. He gets ahead of the blocker almost. He gets ahead of him. Vic could have got out there a little quicker, had a chance to make it a real big one.
And that time, that pass had to be thrown quickly to Greg Fieger. There was pressure coming from Tyrone Jones. There's also a penalty flag on the play.
We get a roughing.
Boy, Barry Aldag got down there and made a real key block just after the play was made. I should say Roger Aldag, Ron.
That was his brother, Barry.
Well, I think Tyrone Jones put the late hit on quarterback Joe Paupow. We'll listen to referee John Ireland.
Major foul, roughing the passer, Winnipeg number 35. First down.
Well, they set the screen to Greg Fieger, but you'll see Tyrone Jones comes from the left side of the screen. Just as the ball's gone, he gets there, and the referee throws the flag immediately.
Almost looked as though Jones was attempting to avoid contact with Paupow. Greg Fieger goes inside. He picks up about 3. Here's Don Martin with another update.
At Exhibition Stadium, the Argos are back in front. Joe Barnes, the starter, keeps it, goes up the middle for the touchdown to put Toronto ahead 11-7 in the second quarter. Don, it's nice to see some offense after last night.
Yes, indeed. It was all a kicking show last night, Don, at the stadium at BC Place, 15-4. As Lou Pasaglia accounted for all 15 points in a triumph over the Calgary Stampeders. Penalty flags on the play. The pass incomplete. It was intended for Craig Ellis. Ellis, when he first came into the Canadian Football League, used primarily as a receiver with both Winnipeg and Edmonton. Then the Calgary Stampeders turned him into a running back. And at the end of the year, when he was released by Calgary, he was immediately snapped up by Saskatchewan.
Number 11, decline. Third down.
I'll tell you, everybody was talking about the lack of offense and the lack of scoring in that game last night, but something, if you're a good football fan, that you got to be appreciative of is some good defense, and you had two good defensive units out there last night. BC Lions are noted to be one of the top defensive units in the country, and Calgary's not far behind, and when you get two teams like that going at each other, you're not going to score a lot of points, but it's still good football.
Ridgway's field goal is good. So a 40-yard field goal with 7:50 remaining in the half cuts the Winnipeg lead to just 3 points. We'll be back right after this.
It's for you. It's Harrington.
We all can see it coming.
I've read your proposal, and they sound like a good outfit. Let's do it.
And now that time's at hand.
We got it.
But you don't know anything about computers.
This is all I have to know. Make friends with the future at Computerland. Make friends with the future at Computerland.
We've helped more kinds of people buy more kinds of computers than any other store in the world.
You know, this used to be my office.
As you remember, class, last week's Lotto 649 lesson on preparing for the big win dealt with putting maitre d's in their place. Today's lesson is on buying art. Repeat after me, Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonard da Vinci.
Renoir. Renoir. Modigliani.
Modigliani?
No. Modigliani.
Lotto 649. Exceptionally attractive prizes. $1 the ticket.
Will you be ready?
Next weekend in the CFL, a full schedule for Labor Day. The Argos kick it off Friday night in Ottawa. Winnipeg meets Saskatchewan Sunday. Edmonton at Calgary Monday, along with CFL 84. The Labor Day special, Montreal and Hamilton on CBC Monday night.
First and 10, Winnipeg. They are at the 35-yard line. They led at one point, 10-1. It's now 10-7. Willard Reeves, who has been running well this afternoon, fights out to the 43. Stopped there by Fran McDermott.
You get that heavy defensive front in there, and they look like they're all in a blitzing position. It kind of thins out when it gets to the outside, and all they've got to do is kick somebody out there and hit that inside hole, and you'll see Willard Reeves break away with another long run like he did before.
Well, they credit Reeves with a pickup of 9, placing the ball at the 44-yard line, so Reeves now has 71 rushing yards this afternoon. Tom Clements keeps on second and the yard, and he'll have the first down. We were talking after last night's game, young Greg Vavra, the Calgary quarterback, a couple of times appeared to be a little reluctant to sneak the ball himself on third down. Some quarterbacks seem to have a knack finding that hole, moving the ball on third down.
When that offensive line fires off the ball and you're sneaking for a couple yards, you better get right behind them, because the defense knows that's what you're going to do, and they're going to be up there waiting on them. So you got to get right with them.
Clements, unable to find that receiver open, got back to the line of scrimmage. Stopped there by Jeff Roberts.
Little bootleg action there when he came back and looked downfield. He had a notion. He went a little bit further and threatened the line of scrimmage like a lot of good quarterbacks will do, and took another look downfield, but the defense was still in a position to cover all the offensive receivers, so he brought the ball down and ran with it. As far as Vavra is concerned, maybe in college, with the kind of a background he had, he never had to do much quarterback sneaking. He was probably scoring all the time.
Jerome Erdman is in there in place of Rick House. Clements gets away from the initial charge, throws back, intended for Willard Reeves. Actually, there were two receivers in the same area. And I don't know whether it was Reeves or Erdman the pass was intended for, but it falls incomplete. Well, the word is that Rick House has suffered a bruised knee, but after closer examination at halftime, could return for the second half.
Well, knowing Rick House, if there's any way he can return, he will.
They better keep him moving, though, because if he did get it right on that patella, he's going to get some fluid on there. He's got to get up and be moving.
McDermott and Kearse are back for the third down kick by Bob Cameron. Another good kick by Cameron. He's averaging 55 yards. It's taken by McDermott. Penalty flags on the play. Blocking from behind as Scott Flagel was spun over by Donovan Rose, or Ken Rose will almost certainly be the call. We have 5:20 remaining in the half here at Winnipeg Stadium.
2 years old, Major is ready. Training him will take time and care, a determination to do things right. We take the same time and care brewing Carlsberg to brew it right. Carlsberg is for people the world over who like things done right.
So when it comes to your beer, and good friends are here, make it a Carlsberg. Carlsberg doing it right.
Every time you fill up at your neighborhood Petro-Canada station, you're pumping your money back into Canadian jobs, back into new opportunities for Canadian industry and technology, back into the ongoing search for Canadian energy. And to every Canadian who thinks that all gasoline stations are the same, Petro-Canada offers an alternative. Pump your money back into Canada. It goes a long way. Petro-Canada, putting Canada first.
The illegal block moves the Riders back to their own 6-yard line, and that's where they will begin scrimmaging with 5:20 remaining in the half, and they trail by 3.
Last time they were backed up, first down, Powell threw the football. He may do it again.
So far, the offensive line of the Saskatchewan Roughriders has given Powell pretty good protection.
Yeah, he's had enough time to throw the football. He's getting them off.
He's got to get him out of this critical area right here, or Winnipeg will be back on the scoreboard.
Greg Fieger fights his way to the 10. Stan Mikowas was in there to make the tackle. He has replaced Doug McIver at that nose guard position. One new addition, as we mentioned earlier, to that defensive line, Casey Afalava. And now with Stan Mikowas in there in place of Doug McIver, they have 2 new additions in that defensive crew. Second down pass for Tim Kears. He should have the first down. He gets out of bounds at the 18. Forced out by Ken Haley.
Little crossing patterns. Comes inside. Fraser comes in. Kears goes out. He's open. They get him the football.
You see it right here when he goes out there, catches the ball, and he looks for that marker. Gets just enough for the first down. Got hurt, though, on the exchange, and Kears looks like he's going to have to be helped off the field.
Kears out of San Jose State to the Saskatchewan Roughriders from the British Columbia Lions. That's where he started his CFL career. Mike Collymore will likely come into the ball game to take his place. 4:23 is the time remaining in this first half. And we take a look again at the play, and as he's rolled out of bounds, he gets that leg twisted. Packs 190 pounds onto a 5'11" frame. He really doesn't look that big.
No, he sure doesn't.
We've talked a couple of times about how hot it is this afternoon here at Winnipeg Stadium, 35 degrees. Ron, as a quarterback and as a professional ball player, did you enjoy playing in the heat?
Oh, I loved it. I never worried about the heat. I just didn't like rain. I could handle cold and anything else, but no rain. But heat was great.
I think rain is the primary concern of most quarterbacks, isn't it?
I don't know many that like it.
Not a bad afternoon so far for Joe Powell. He's hit on 12 of 17, make it 13 of 18, swinging it to Craig Ellis. And Ellis fights his way to the 24-yard line. Well, the last time the Riders were backed up to their own 5-yard line, they managed to move the ball away from danger. They're doing an effective job again of advancing the football.
Well, they've had some success with that little screen outside. Some success with that little screen outside to Ellis. This time he ran away from his blockers, but he still picked up 6 yards.
It will be 2nd and 4. A mix-up in the backfield. Powell missed the handoff, and Saskatchewan. A mix-up in the backfield. Powell before Powell spun around to hand him the ball.
He never got the snap when it come up out of the center. He was bobbling a little bit. When you've got a fullback hits that quick, watch how fast. He's gone before Joe gets a hold of the football.
Yeah, he didn't get a good handle on it.
And Frank Robinson is there to make the tackle, forcing the Riders into a kicking situation. I think Frank Robinson may have been looking forward to this game just a little. He played last year, of course, with the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
I would think he would.
Picked up by Winnipeg back in July the 2nd. The kick by Hickey is scooped up by James Murphy, and Murphy has some running room if he gets the block.
Oh, I'd like to see that one again.
Well, I think he may have stepped out of bounds back at about the 20-yard line.
Well, we're not no use saying that until we see it, but Don, I think you might be right.
There it is.
Watch him when he comes across here. He picks up some blockers. Made a nice move in there. Haley didn't do much help for him other than screen somebody, but watch him right there.
Well, he was trying to tiptoe down the sidelines, and apparently he did stay in bounds as the point after by Trevor Kennard gives Winnipeg a 17-7 lead, and we have 2:56 remaining in the half, and the Blue Bombers will be kicking off after that 64-yard James Murphy touchdown when we return.
This fall, a major dramatic event. The jewel in the crown.
I hate this whole damn stinking country.
The last days of an empire.
Mr. Gandhi himself, on behalf of Congress, has called on us to leave India to God or anarchy.
A soldier for whom heroism was not enough.
It's always tricky going out and about with Indians.
I'd be grateful if people would stop telling me who I can have as my friends and who I can't, especially if the only trouble with them is the color of their skin.
The young Englishwoman who fell in love against the rules. And the Indian who paid the price.
She wasn't a virgin, was she? I shan't answer any of your questions until you tell me why I'm here.
A mother who hated with a passion.
Captain Merrick is not a muzzy guide. In fact, he's scarcely a gentleman at all.
And the daughter who defied her.
According to the evidence in here, Sarah's missed twice.
One of the greatest dramatic series ever produced. The Jewel in the Crown, this fall on CBC television.
Well, James Murphy scored a 64-yard touchdown on that punt return. He was very close on the sidelines. It's very tough to tell whether or not he stepped out of bounds. The Bombers using the short kickoff, and they recover with Tyrone Jones pouncing on the ball. We had warned you earlier that the Saskatchewan Roughriders had better be prepared for something a little different on the kickoff by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and they executed that one perfectly.
Well, they started by kicking the ball down to the left side, trying to kick it the hole. And if you'll notice, the outside man on the right side now is off, not on the line of scrimmage, but about 10 yards deep. And that's where they laid the ball, right where he was off there, and they went down and covered it.
Willard Raves fights his way to the 48-yard line. 2:51 the time remaining in the first half. 17-7, Winnipeg in front. The Bombers have done a good job on the punt return all afternoon, so it really wasn't that surprising that they finally broke one with Murphy.
Well, when that ball hit the ground like that, everybody just assumed he'd just fall on it, and they gave up contain on him, and he got outside of him.
Graves has now rushed for 75 yards. Tom Clements on 2nd and 6, looking over the defense. Jeff Boyd on the sideline, and he's brought down by Ken Hinton. Remember, at halftime, in addition to the highlights of the two games this afternoon, we'll have the Prêt-à-Terre from Montreal as a halftime feature.
Tommy's had a lot of success with his sprint-out patterns, and again, just turned out to the sidelines right there. Boyd did, and just got enough for the first down. And what Winnipeg's got to do now is try to get another score on the board, and what Saskatchewan's got to do is go in there with the score the way it is, and don't give them anything else.
From just inside the 40, 1st and 10, Winnipeg. Joe Poplawski to the 20, to the 19-yard line. But there is a penalty flag on the play, and I believe it's going to be brought back.
Sure is, and it's too bad because the well-executed play. Teams have been getting away with using safety blitzes all year, and the Bombers do a great job of picking up the blitz, and Poplawski got to the open area, but it's going to be called back.
Holding, Winnipeg number 50. First down repeated.
Mark Moores guilty of the holding call. So that wipes out a big gain on the pass from Clemens to Poplawski, and it's 1st and 20 now, just inside the 50-yard line. Clemens stepping up into the pocket. Now he decides to run the ball and is caught from behind by Al Johns. He got 9 yards back.
Well, those linebackers were real deep that time, so all he did was couldn't find what he wanted. Back, but the linebackers are deep. He'll be okay. He'll get through there. Now he makes a decision, and Al Johns is coming from behind.
Al Johns was taken down once in the play. He managed to get back up and chase down Clemens and catch him from behind.
Kevin Mills just came in with a play from the sidelines.
Sideline pattern for Boyd, incomplete. So on 3rd down, the Bombers will send in their field goal units. 1:35 is the time remaining. A very relaxed Cal Murphy prior to today's game. All the assistant coaches were coming into his office trying to convince Cal that they should be allowed to wear shorts down in the sidelines today. He said, no, we're wearing the long pants, despite the fact it's 35 degrees. Kennard's field goal is wide, and Glenn Suter in the end zone concedes the single point. It's now 18-7 with 1:27 remaining in the half.
Well, that may be a big point by the time the ball game's over. He had plenty of time to bring it out around to the 5 or the 10-yard line. With 1:35 left, they've got their work cut out for them going to the length of the field, but they do get the ball out now to about the 40-yard line, so they have a chance to move it down there. But
I agree with giving them the point to get the ball out to the 41. In a minute and 35, you can score from here pretty easily.
Yeah, we'll see how easily.
You betcha.
Well, John Hufnagel.
If they score, I'll build you a watch.
Standing at the Bomber bench. And his role primarily as a backup this season with the Blue Bombers, but when he has been called upon, he has been most effective in a relief position. Greg Fager should be close to that first down. They rule that his progress had carried to the 52-yard line, and that is a Saskatchewan first down, a gain of 11.
Well, that Winnipeg defense formed to the football, don't they? There was a lot of blue jerseys in on the end of that hit.
1:17 is the time remaining to the sideline. And that will be another first down as Wallace fights his way to the 47 of Winnipeg, as the Saskatchewan Roughriders now try to move over the football without benefit of a huddle, trying to get this next offensive play underway quickly.
They're working on the one-man pattern on the outside.
Sideline to Chris DeFrance. He goes out of bounds at the 39.
And that stops the clock.
Well, they're moving that ball down there. I'd hate to see you have them score.
How are you at building watches?
I know they still have a minute and 5 seconds left. This time, instead of the outside receiver going on a quick out, he goes deep, and DeFrance breaks to the outside, makes the good catch, get out of bounds, stop the clock. Still a minute and 5.
Well, they're working here to the outside. They better stay away from David Shaw on that outside. He's going to come up with one.
Not if you throw it on time. He won't.
Not if they throw it to Donovan Rose's side.
Going to the post. Here we go.
Throwing deep, intended for Wallace, incomplete. He was being covered by David Shaw.
That's okay. That's a good throw. Sooner or later, you got to put one down the field. You might as well try to get it all at once. He overthrew it. Everybody. He wasn't open either.
After last night's game, gentlemen, weren't you lamenting the fact that there have not been many post patterns thrown this year? A lot of teams seem to go to that sideline game.
Well, they're using the sprint out so much that they want to sprint to the wide side of the field and throw the football. But if you go back and that safety's not in the middle, there's an awful big area in there to pick on.
Well, the
33.
BC Lions found that curl area pretty good in there, too, after a while.
3rd and 3.
Craig Ellis, and he is stopped right at the line of scrimmage, but there are also penalty flags. Tyrone Jones was there to make the tackle.
Don, I'll tell you something. That's going to be procedure against Saskatchewan. Now, this is just something that I was taught a long time ago. Whenever you are going to run the football, do not go on the quick count. The last time they tried it, Pow missed the snap from center.
Saskatchewan, number 68. Decline.
This time,
First down.
They have a procedure call. The linemen, when you need 3 yards or something, let those linemen get set down and come off the football.
That's exactly right, Ron.
You come up here and go on that quick count, you can't do it. See, Skolrud moves, and once he loses his momentum, the play's dead anyway, and they're trying to run a toss to his side.
That was the point that I was trying to make before when Tommy Clemens had the quick huddle. He had him up the line of scrimmage, and those offensive linemen don't get set.
Clemens will lose the football. Picked up by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Roberts has it and gets to the 16-yard line. Well, that's a rather startling turn of events. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, with 56 seconds remaining in this half, appeared to have control, but suddenly the Rough Riders get it back.
Well, Al Johns, number 62, the pressure comes from the outside by Moore. He steps up. Now, Johns makes the hit and causes the fumble, and there's the big fella, Jeff Roberts. He kicks it around a while, but he finally gets a hold of it.
And another big fella, Chris Walby, made the tackle. And Roberts isn't going to give up possession of that football either. So it's 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. They're at the 16-yard line. Joe Powell's in trouble. Throws into the end zone. Touchdown. Krista France is there.
What kind of watch are you going to build me?
Oh, no, they didn't score on that time. The ball changed. Tommy Clements got the ball back.
Oh, I see.
That's a little bit different.
I still think he owes you a watch.
No
and I want to
way.
be there and watch him build it.
No way. I mean, you guys from the West, I mean, you got gang up on me all the time from the East. That was an exceptional job there by Tommy Clements. And a very good catch over there by Chris Stefans, too. The defense let up at the last minute, thought that he was going to get corralled behind the line of scrimmage and just let their guard down for a minute, and he got the ball high, and DeFrance went up and got it.
Joe Powell throwing to Chris DeFrance with 38 seconds remaining, and now it's an 18-16 ball game.
What a difference.
And the point after by Dave Ridgway. And we still have 38 seconds remaining. Well, I said 18-16. I should have said 18-13, and the point after making it an 18-14 ball game. As we take another look at the touchdown throw, Pow to Chris DeFrance.
Pow did a good job of scrambling, and DeFrance just found the spot in the end zone. He's got great jumping ability, and Pow put it up high for him.
I'll tell you one thing about Joe Pow. His record has been, and his history has been, no matter whether he's got a bump or a bruise or anything else, he'll get in there and play. And even with that bad shoulder that he had a hard time keeping him out. He's a tough guy.
Well, that certainly should provide the Saskatchewan Roughriders with a lift going to the dressing room at halftime, getting that late touchdown. Kevin Nealis on the kickoff return, and he's taken out of bounds in front of the Bomber bench at the 37-yard line by Jeff Roberts.
Roberts is playing another strong game today. He seems to be putting a lot of heat on the quarterbacks. He's even on. He's going to be tired, Leo, in this.
I'm watching him right now out there with his hands on his hips walking back toward the huddle. He is really tired.
Well, he could be a candidate for our Carling O'Keefe Defensive Game Star Award.
I imagine he wouldn't mind having a Carling O'Keefe right now.
Movement at the line of scrimmage, a penalty flag as Tom Clements finds Joe Poplawski in the open, a first down at the 52. Stopped there by Billy Jackson. 27 seconds remaining at the half. Rick Moore apparently offside on the play.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 76. Decline. First down.
Well, Jeff Roberts is going to slow things down. He's down on one knee.
One thing that defense, you'll see the Moore here on the top of the screen there, take a jump, couldn't get back in time. And a lot of times when that defense sees an apparent offside by one of the people on the defense, let down a little bit. And a lot of times you get a touchdown on one of those plays right there, but Tommy just got a first down on that one.
Is he hurt or tired?
Maybe a combination. 6'3", 235 pounds out of Tulane will be replaced by Brent Reset. First and 10 Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers at their own 52. They lead at 18-14. Clemens to the sideline. Poplawski out of bounds at the 38. 22 seconds remaining. And by going out of bounds, Poplawski stops the clock. A gain of 20 on that pass to Poplawski.
Just comes down the field. They get him in man coverage. He breaks in, and he gets this defensive back turned inside. And when he turns those feet inside, he can't get back out there. Watch how far away from him when the ball's in the air. A little bit too far. He gets out of bounds. Stop that clock.
Hand off to Willard Reeves, and he fought his way to the 35. Now another CFL update with Don Martin.
Jerry DeCilio has come on to replace Turner Gill. Montreal has moved closer. The bomb goes to Nikaraki. Great catch in the end zone. It's 15-14 Toronto late in the first half.
Well, it's a close one involving the Argos and the Concord. It's close here at Winnipeg Stadium, a 4-point difference. Clemens fumbled the ball on 2nd and 6. Penalty flag in the play. Complete to Erdmann, out of bounds. But I think it will be called back by holding.
I've got to wonder about the advisability of the play before, when 22 seconds left, when Tommy gave the ball to Reeves and let him run with it. Maybe he was trying to get him in a position just to kick a field goal, but you know, I think they can kick a field goal from where they're at.
Holding. Winnipeg number 59. Second down repeated.
Lyle Bauer guilty of the holding infraction as Jerome Erdmann comes off. And his gain on that Clemens pass will be wiped out. Kevin Nealis comes into the game. 10 seconds remaining. 2nd and 17 Winnipeg.
Now you got to get field position for the field goal here.
Touchdown, other way. Oh!
Fran McDermott had stepped in front of Kevin Nealis. He had some room down the sidelines had he been able to hang on to that Tom Clemens throw. 4 seconds remain. Rick Moore was applying pressure.
He picked that off. It would have been Katie bar the door because there was nobody there.
A 53-yard field goal attempt upcoming by Trevor Kennard. Kick is good. And that's the final play of the half as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers move in front of the Saskatchewan Roughriders after 30 minutes of play, 21-14.
Fall is a season of specials on CBC television. The 1984 Emmy Awards with all the stars of television. The making of one of the world's most exciting ballet companies, Arnold Spohr and the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. Gilbert and Sullivan's masterly satire, Iolanthe, straight from Stratford, starring Maureen Forrester. In Concert at the Met, a celebration of a century of the performing arts, a gala event featuring some of the world's finest musicians, entertainers, actors, and dancers. And Canada's music makers are honored in the 1984 Juno Awards. The good things in life on CBC television. An assassin's bullets get the wrong Ewing. JR is alive, but for how long? I'll tell you! Who did it? Dallas. This fall. It's still going on behind that wall. Fun in Fraggle Rock.
A celebration!
Let's start with the boys. Now the ding-a-ling.
The Fraggle Choir!
All your Fraggle friends invite you back this fall on CBC television.
Welcome back.
David Suzuki takes you on a new season of discovery. The Nature of Things this fall.
Welcome back to CFL 84. It is a busy day, and we have a full halftime coming up. We'll have highlights from the game you're watching, Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, along with updates from the Toronto Argonauts' Montreal Concord underway at Olympic Stadium. Today in Montreal, it's the 18th edition of the Prix d'Été, the prize of summer, Canada's richest harness race. There were 17 horses eligible, so the field was split in two for a pair of eliminations to determine the final field. Of the day, a clear, sunny afternoon in Montreal, and a fast track as Andrel hits the wire in 1:56 ahead of Guts and Butler BG. Vanston Hanover was in a dead heat for third but withdrew with an injury. Andrel, Guts, and Butler BG advance. In the second heat, the favorite on the road again wins. Tom Harmer, with such a big lead, he held him up, the whip on his shoulder. As on the road again, the biggest winner in racing this year advances into the Prix d'Été, along with Farmstead's Fame, Walton Hanover, and Mystery Skipper. So the post parade with more than $400,000 in the purse. On the road again, a lifetime best of 153-3, trained and driven by Tom Harmer, owned by Gordon and Illa Rumpel of Calgary, the winner of the second trial, a winner of 13 of 19 races, $1.5 million in earnings in 1984. The two horses, Andrel, trained by Jim Crane, driven by John Campbell, owned by a New York group, a winner of 7 of 9 races this year, the winner of the first elimination. Farmstead's Fame will go away third, another New York horse by Brett Hanover out of Future Fame, trained and driven by Billy Houghton, second in his heat this afternoon. The 4-horse is Guts, a bay colt trained by Barry Abrams, driven by Billy O'Donnell of Amherst, Nova Scotia, owned in New York, 13 wins and 21 starts in 1984, second in this afternoon's first elimination. Butler BG has a lifetime best of 154, definite long shot, a winner of 4 of 10 races in this season, third in the first elimination, trained and driven by Ted Wing, owned by Lawrence Kaddish of Garden City, New Jersey. The 6-horse is Walton Hanover, best time of 154, trained by John Simpson Jr. and driven by Harold Dancer out of the Gator Stables in Florida. In the money, 14 of 16 races this year, including 7 wins. He was third in the second elimination. And rounding out the field, Mystery Skipper, fourth in the second elimination, trained and driven by Doug Arthur, owned by Kingfish Stable, Kim and Danny Husted of Tillsonburg, Ontario. A winner of 7 of 10 races this season, a lifetime best of 155. A field of 7 for the 1984 Prix d'Été. Niatros with the event record of 153-4. And with ideal conditions at Blue Bonnets, that record is certainly in danger. And when we return, we'll have the running of the Prix d'Été as halftime continues on CFL 84.
This fall is dramatically different on CBC television.
People have started talking.
The forbidden love of two people. The rulers and the ruled. The last days of an empire. The jewel in the crown.
I know what you're going to do. You're going to go away and be a soldier.
The wars, conflict between a mother's love and a son's duty.
Are you going to win?
Backstretch, a fight to the finish, on and off the track.
There's more than pleasure in marriage. There's lots of worry and pain, too.
One family's struggle for a better life. The Tin Flute.
How do you want me to help? I'm a British subject and you're not Jewish.
The true story of a hero who helped others escape from Nazi-occupied Europe. Charlie Grant's War. Great drama. Good evenings on CBC television.
As a former CFL halfback who lost both legs and damaged an arm in a tragic car accident, Carl Hilsinger introduced Jody Vincent from New Brunswick to War Amp sports consultant Jim Nelford. Today, the War Amps are busier than ever, with 500 young amputees in their CHAMP program. Their Play Safe program warns all youngsters that safety is no accident.
Whatever game you play, play safe.
This message is brought to you by the War Amps of Canada and the Canadian Football League.
The starter has the field in the backstretch. 7 horses after the scratch of Vanston Hanover. On the rail, it'll be on the road again, with Andrel going away second, Farmstead's Fame, Guts, Butler BG, Walton Hanover, and Mystery Skipper. The track record, 152-3. Now for the call of the race, John Deshotel.
On accent de rythme, they are picking up speed. Et c'est le départ des robes à la culture Appleville on the road again à l'extérieur outside. Butler BG qui prend les devants. Troisième third outside à l'extérieur. C'est maintenant Walton Hanover, 4e fourth. Andrel, 5e fifth, Farmstead's Fame. 6e sixth, Guts. Et à l'arrière du peloton, treading the field, Mystery Skipper. On se dirige sur le poteau du quart de mille, heading for a quarter mile pole. En tête, on top, Butler BG. 2e second outside à l'extérieur, Walton Hanover. Troisième third on the road again, 27 et 4 au quart. 27-4 at the quarter mark, Butler BG. À l'extérieur outside, challenging to Walton Hanover. Troisième third outside, Andrel. 4e fourth on the road again. 5e fifth, Farmstead's Fame. 6e sixth, outside à l'extérieur, Guts. Et arrière du peloton, heading the field. That is Mystery Skipper. On finit sur le poteau du Ville, they're heading for the half-mile pole. Butler BG maintient les devants. Butler BG is still on top, 56-1, 56-1. Deuxième, second, Walton Hanover. On the road again, it's now outside and on the go. À l'extérieur, on the road again, et dans une poussée, followed by Andrel. Alongside the rail, à la culture Mystery Skipper. Farmstead Fame 2 wide, and Guts spreading the field. They're heading for the 3/4 mile pole. On se dirige vers le poteau du 3/4 de mille. Butler BG. À l'extérieur, outside, c'est on the road again. Troisième third, Walton Hanover. 4e fourth, outside, Andrel. Une 24-2 au 3/4. 124-2 at the 3/4 mark. Butler BG at exterior outside on the road again. Walton Hanover on the extreme outside to Andrel. Maintenant 5e, now 5th to Farmstead Fame. Butler BG way outside to Andrel. Walton Hanover on the road again. And Mystery Skipper with Guts. Butler BG with Andrel. These what here they are.
It was hard to tell. They were 4 wide at the finish, but it's official. Butler BG wins it on the inside, tying the record set by Niatros back in 1980 of 153-4, paying $103.70 to win. Andrel, the 2-horse, gets in for 2nd place. Mystery Skipper up from 7th to finish 3rd, and Guts finishing 4th on the road again. Not a factor, as Butler BG wins the 1984 Prix d'Été at Bluebonnets. Certainly an upset for Butler BG with Ted Wing in the bike. When we return, we'll get back to football. First half highlights coming up as CFL 84 continues.
This fall, programs that take you into new territory. Prisons. Parole and the struggle on the inside for a foothold in society. The lifer and the lady. Our most vital industry stands on shaky ground. The decline and fall of Canada's forests. And portraits of 4 courageous people coping with a crippling disease, arthritis. Laden with resources, Canada's high Arctic has always been a mystery. On rock, ice, and oil, some of the fascinating discoveries being made in this remarkable region. Money and the people that control it. A look inside a little-known world. The brokers. Take a good look at your world on CBC television. The Emmys, a salute to the stars and the shows. Television's best, the 1984 Emmy Awards, this fall. The province of New Brunswick once relied on its forests to become North America's shipbuilding capital. This year, it celebrates its bicentennial, reflecting on the past and looking to the future. Watch New Brunswick 200 on This Land, Tuesday. Following the leaders. Tracking the issues. Election 84 with CBC Television.
It's been a difficult year for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, one of the few teams to show a profit last season, but the problems in 84 have been on the field, and Winnipeg is not helping matters much this afternoon. The Bombers took the lead in the first half as Willard Reeves takes a 3-yard plunge and goes over for an early Blue Bomber lead, and they added to it before the half was over. Big crowd this afternoon in Winnipeg, a perfect day. Coming up, the kick and the punt return, it goes to James Murphy. Now watch him maneuver through traffic after he picks it up, sets up the blocking, and heads for the end zone. The question is, did he hit the chalk around the 20-yard line? John McEnroe would have argued. There was no argument from Saskatchewan. The touchdown is good, and the Bombers are in front 17-7. But then the Riders get a break. And it's about time. Following a fumble recovery, Joe Pow hits Chris DeBrantz in the end zone with just 38 seconds left in the half. And that makes it 18-14. The Bombers in front. It's now 21-14 at halftime out in Winnipeg. Saskatchewan still looking for that second win of the season. They trailed by a touchdown in the second quarter going into the third quarter out in Winnipeg. Big day in the CFL, a couple of teams at or near first place and a couple looking for the upset. In Toronto, the Argonauts have the lead, but Montreal has been tough at Exhibition Stadium. First quarter, the Argos leading at 4-0, but the blocked punt from Harry Skipper results in the Montreal touchdown, and they are within, actually they're in front by 3, 7-4. Then Joe Barnes takes it in to put the Argos back in front, but late in the first half, Joe Barnes actually Montreal quarterback Turner Gill is replaced by Jerry DiTilio. He goes to Nikaraki. That makes it 15-14. The Argos in front by 1 point at halftime. And when we return, we'll have the second half kickoff in Winnipeg as the Bombers host the Saskatchewan Roughriders. CFL 84 continues here on CBC.
Nature of things. David Suzuki takes you on a new season of discovery to Canada's prairies where a vital natural habitat is in danger. To see ancient Chinese treasures restored, computers taking to the road, and the evolution of back pain. The Nature of Things, this fall on CBC television. Keep up with your world. A world that's moving, changing. CBC television puts it all in perspective. Every day, with the most respected reporting in television. News and background. The human questions. The issues of everyday life. CBC television news and information. Keeping Canadians informed. It's a matter of good television. CBC television.
The stories are still unfolding. The Fifth Estate. A new season with more of the investigative reports that dig deeply into sensitive subjects and issues. More timely coverage of important events from Canada and around the world. More of the provocative journalism that makes headlines.
I'm Eric Malling.
And I'm Hannah Gartner.
And I'm Bob McEwen.
More good television. The Fifth Estate. This fall on CBC television.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will take a 7-point advantage into the second half of this first of a home-and-home series against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And the temperature has gone up a degree since this game started. At kickoff time, it was 35. It's now 36 degrees, which converts to 97 degrees on the Fahrenheit scale.
I'm glad you said that, Don, so I'd know.
Well, whether it's Fahrenheit or Celsius, it is hot.
Rod, that one guy
at Winnipeg Stadium.
That one guy had a pair of legs like Rod. Looked like 2 straws in a milkshake.
Oh, so it's come. Okay, Leo.
I think he's upset, Ron, because he has to build you that watch.
You bet he does.
Oh, you guys.
Dave Ridgway preparing to kick off. Willard Reeves and Kevin Nealis back for this kickoff to start the second half. Nealis camping under it at the 5-yard line.
Uh-oh, he's got to see him.
And he's got a good burst of speed. But he runs out of room on the sidelines. He was trying to follow the blocking of Willard Reeves, but he was forced out at the 37-yard line. Statistically, in the first half, the Saskatchewan Roughriders had more first downs than Winnipeg. They were only 4 yards shy in terms of net offense. Joe Pow put the ball in the air 24 times, completing 17. Tom Clements hit on 8 of 13. First and 10, Winnipeg from the 37-yard line. Clements gives to Willard Reeves, and at the line of scrimmage, he is stacked up. This Saskatchewan defensive unit, Ron, you're familiar with them. They don't blitz a great deal, but they do have the type of defense that doesn't yield much yardage either.
Well, they're pretty strong up front. They got those linebackers that are active, and they move around a lot on running plays, but they get good depth. They play a lot of zone defense, and you're not going to get beat for big plays and long plays when you're in the zone.
Rick House back in the ball game for Winnipeg. The pass to Dan Hucklack, and Hucklack gets the first down, fighting his way to the 51-yard line. Finally brought down by Eddie Lowe. Clements was under pressure. He got that pass away just in time, and for a moment it looked as though Hucklack was going to drop it.
Well, I'll tell you, Billy Jackson came. Nobody laid a hand on him.
Tommy's still running. He ends up back there under the goalpost almost.
I'll tell you what, that guy came through untouched. Very fortunate, but as it turned out, a good play because of Clements' ability to get away from it.
Winnipeg, first and 10 from the 52. The sideline, Jeff Boyd, no catch. They rule that he had stepped out of bounds. He was being covered by Ken Hinton.
It's the first time they've shown that defense. That's a man-to-man underneath and two-man deep. Clements went to the right guy where you get single coverage. When they go to that, they're double teaming the inside receivers.
I think
Boyd went outside.
I think Boyd thought that he was in bounds on that. Of course, I think the receiver always is a little bit...
Most receivers will tell you they never catch a ball out of bounds.
Winnipeg, second and 10 from the 52. The Blue Bombers lead 21-14. Rick House makes the catch from the sideline and gets to the 27-yard line. Well, fortunately for Rick House, and just as fortuitous for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, that injury he suffered in the first half, not nearly as serious as it was first feared.
What happens, Rick House will go down the field here. Terry Irvin will hold in the flat, and he'll go real deep, and that'll open this area up in there, and he finds them right into that seam. Right behind that linebacker. Watch him just sit down in there. Nobody near him.
Rick House with a gain of 32. It's first and 10 Winnipeg, and Willard Reeves is hit at the line of scrimmage. A pickup of maybe a yard. Stopped there by Jeff Roberts.
Willard Reeves on the inside, his production has been almost nil. On the outside, he's probably averaging about 50 yards on that toss. I don't know why they don't use it.
Willard Reeves has carried 11 times now for 79 yards. He had visions before the year started of rushing this year for 1,800 yards. That was the personal goal he had set for himself. The pass complete to Willard Reeves, looking for the end zone. He'll get there.
Well executed play. Nothing to that one. Willard Reeves come out of that backfield and was wide open.
Watch the outside receiver, too.
The second touchdown of the game for Willard Reeves.
That's what you call coming clean.
Point after by Trevor Kennard. And it's now 28-14. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We'll be back with the Winnipeg kickoff after this.
Hi, I am A. A isn't fat. Let me tell you right off the bat, these days fat is not where it's at. But how can I go from fatness to fitness? Watch me right here. You be my witness. And get up and get moving. It's time for action. Start walking. That's a step in the right direction. Take one extra step from walking to hiking. One more step gets you right up to biking. Soon the shape you're in will be more to your liking. You'll feel like a hero, a cowboy, a Viking. You may never become a champion swimmer, but a few laps a day can make you slimmer and trimmer. Play ball games and all games like soccer and tennis, and suddenly your weight is no longer a menace. Soon you're smooth and lean like a fox, all hustle and muscle, just like an ox. Yes, little by little, you're fit as a fiddle. Now I am the I wanted to be. And getting into fitness has done it for me. Ho-ho!
Canadians are into fitness now.
Well, they get in man-to-man coverage. There's a receiver right here. I think it's 71 Poplawski. He'll run a pick, and Willard Reeves will just do this. He runs across with him, and that means that Eddie Lowe can't get over here to cover him, and watch him come clean.
Trevor Kenner's kickoff, booted in the end zone, and it goes out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Craig Ellis had difficulty handling that kickoff, and it went out of bounds at the 1.
I think Craig Ellis almost made another serious error there when the ball was bounced. We're going to take a look at this touchdown right here now. Ron has already illustrated it on the telestrator.
But Poplawski come across there, and no one, you can't run with Reeves. Once he catches that football, it gets outside.
But Ellis that time, he fumbled the ball out to about the 1-yard line, and then as an afterthought, he thought he could throw it back in the end zone. And had he thrown it back in the end zone and it hadn't gone out of bounds, and one of the blue shirts recovered, it would have been a touchdown.
The Riders starting out in the big hole, and Greg Figger trying to move inside. Got to the 4. It will be an advancing 3, 2nd and 7. The play facing the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Tony Norman, number 55, made the tackle for Winnipeg.
And we're talking about something that could have turned the ball game around. After this game is over, we're going to reflect on that touchdown pass to Willard Reeves right there, because the defense is really fired up now. The field position is all Winnipeg's, and Saskatchewan's going to have to do something real big here to keep them off the scoreboard again very shortly.
A key play right here for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They try and move out of their own zone. It's picked off. This will be a touchdown for Aaron Brown.
You can see it coming. Aaron Brown sitting right here. When Pow rolls, the linebacker goes with him. He'll come right back here and settle underneath that second receiver, and he'll just be in perfect position. Watch the position he's got. Oh, yeah, here I am. Wide open.
A guy that was instrumental in that play was Delbert Fowler. He made some penetration in there, and he got his hands up in the air and caused Pow to throw the ball a little bit off target. Aaron Brown picked it off and went in for the score.
And the point after by Trevor Kenner. And while the Bombers came into this third quarter leading by 7, they have very quickly increased their advantage to 21.
Watch Delbert Fowler here now as Pow rolls to the right. Gets a little pressure. Looks like his hands are up in the air, and he can't see through that. And all of a sudden, the linebacker's in a position to pick it off. Just a perfect pursuit position as far as the pass is concerned. Walks in front of it, takes it in, and it's a big buzz now for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And as I said, the momentum has changed completely.
You know, Larry, you were talking about the touchdown pass to Reeves, but that play by Craig Ellis back there when it went off of his foot, an unfortunate thing to happen, because it's tough to start out on your own one, especially when you've lost that momentum.
And right now, all of a sudden, you're down 35 to 14 and don't know how you got there.
Trevor Kenner preparing to kick off again.
Do you think he'll try another kickoff?
No,
what do you think?
They're going to play it safe now. They've tried all their bags of tricks as far as these kickoffers are concerned. They got the big lead now. They'll kick it deep.
You're going to bet, huh? Okay.
And they kick it down the right side again. Craig Ellis starting out from the goal area. He ran into the hit there from Vernon Paul.
That's the way you cover kickoffs.
Vernon Paul the other night was involved in a horse race at Assiniboia Downs as the big linebacker actually got up on the horse at the racetrack. I think he was hanging on for dear life more than trying to ride the horse, and I don't think Coach Carl Murphy was particularly excited about seeing Vernon Paul up on the back of the thoroughbred.
I wouldn't think so, not during the season.
I don't think the thoroughbred was particularly happy either with the 225-pound Vernon Paul on his back. This is Craig Ellis, and he is out to the 25. That will be an advance of 9 yards. Stopped there by Frank Robinson. 35-14 the score in favor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 9:54 is the time remaining in this third quarter.
That's that misdirection play. They pull the guard and tackle from the offside, leading it. The guard kicks out, and the tackle turns up inside, and boy, they made a nice play out of it.
Wallace goes wide to the left. Stu Fraser comes out to the right. They get the first down with Craig Ellis fighting his way across the 30 to the 31. Stopped there by Tony Norman.
See, that time, Don, they came out in short yardage, and they let those linemen get set. The linemen can come off the ball then, but it's very hard for them to come up and go on the first down. They don't know when that ball is going to be snapped.
Saskatchewan first and 10. The ball is at the 32. Popow managed to avoid a couple of would-be tacklers. The pass intended for Kearse, and it's knocked down by Frank Robinson. Well, the noise you hear in the stands, a lot of fans at football parks across the country imitating the folks out at the stadium at BC Place has started to wave as far as Canadian football is concerned, and now they're doing it in almost every park. Robinson knocking it down again.
He couldn't catch it. That thing was thrown hard. He just batted it down.
So Paul Hickey comes into the ball game, talking about the wave. They even had it going the other night in Montreal, and it looked rather funny with just a couple of fans sitting in one section, but they were standing up applauding the Concord performance in that victory over the Edmonton Eskimos. And I'm sure a few of these fans at Winnipeg Stadium this afternoon with the temperature at 36 degrees wish they were under a cooling wave. Penalty flag on the play as Haley took it on the run, went out of bounds, and almost certainly no yards will be charged against Steve Johnson. 8:19 is the time remaining in the third quarter here at Winnipeg Stadium.
You're the Canada in Petro-Canada. You own the place. You're the Canada in Petro-Canada. You're the smiling face. You're the one we're fresh and bright for. That special friend we do it right for. You're the reason we're good at pleasing. You are Petro-Canada. Round the corner most every day, we'll help you on your way. You are Petro-Canada. We're working for you.
Petro-Canada, putting Canada first.
Brian Mulrooney started off from day one with the statement, I'm going to listen, then I'm going to act. And he's been doing that.
He understands what it feels like to be on the workers' end, the union end. He knows how important it is to be decisive at the management level, and he has learned leadership skills, which are absolutely essential to keep moving together.
We're gonna do it all together, 'cause we're voting PC now. We're voting PC now.
Next Saturday, our CBC Sports Special, a review of World Cup '82, the triumph of Italian soccer on the playing fields of Spain. World Cup '82 in review, narrated by Sean Connery, a CBC Sports Special, next Saturday, September 1st.
No yards charged against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. A second flag as Scott Flagel was guilty for blocking from the rear. The net result is a 5-yard pickup for Winnipeg. And they are first and 10 from the 40-yard line. Willard Reed picks up about 3 yards. And John Hufnagel is now in at quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. As we said earlier, primarily in a backup capacity this year for Winnipeg, but Coach Cal Murphy is not at all reluctant to switch quarterbacks, but with Winnipeg out in front now 35-14, I think he's feeling a little more confident and wants Hufnagel to pick up some playing experience. Jerome Erdman reached for the ball. I think it may have been intended for James Murphy.
Pretty hard to tell. Both receivers ran the same pattern. And I thought he was throwing for Murphy myself.
Well, there's a lot of coaches that won't go with their alternate quarterback until the team either gets in a lot of trouble or until the team gets way ahead. But Cal Murphy has the amazing capacity to have the right idea of when to spot his quarterbacks, and as a result, Hufnagel's got a lot of work this year.
Third down punt by Bob Cameron as he stands at his own 30-yard line.
Saskatchewan
going after it. And Hinton came very close to picking it off. Penalty flag as Kiss takes the punt at the 35-yard line. And Winnipeg's Scott Flagel may be charged with encroaching upon that 5-yard area. John Funk is also in there. But there's the no yards indicator from referee John Ireland.
Just for some of the fans that don't understand that 5-yard encroaching area is a circle of 5 yards.
Winnipeg number 43. First down.
It's a circle of 5 yards from where the ball is touched or caught. And it isn't just the guy coming down the field closing on the man. If he's already past the guy that's going to kick, he's got to stay 5 yards beyond him.
First and 10, Saskatchewan. They are at the 47. Homer Jordan now in at quarterback as he gives to Craig Ellis. So both teams have made a change in their starting quarterbacks. John Hufnagel taking over for Winnipeg, and Homer Jordan, the Clemson product, replacing Joe Paupau.
That's too bad. Joe Paupau had a real good start this afternoon and played, I thought, pretty well for being out that first half, and had a couple of bad things happen to him here early in the second part of the ball game, and as a result, he's out of the ball game.
Homer Jordan's pass incomplete, intended for Stu Fraser. Donovan Rose was covering, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders are forced into a punting situation. 6:12 is the time left here in the third quarter. 35-14 the score.
You know, the score is 35-14, and Saskatchewan are a long way from being out of it if they can score a couple easy touchdowns or even a couple quick touchdowns. But they look on the sidelines over there, and they look with their substitutions like they're afraid that they're out of the ball game already and getting desperate.
Paul Hickey's kick goes out of bounds at the 20-yard line. That's where Winnipeg will scrimmage, a 37-yard boot. When we return to Winnipeg Stadium with 5:54 remaining in the third quarter.
Carlsberg Light, all right. People here say it's one good beer. Carlsberg Light, all right. Cold as ice, it's one real good beer. Crack a cold one and you'll see why it's got that great light taste for me. Carlsberg Light, all right. Raise a cheer for good beer.
In just 2 years since its introduction, this compact pickup has leapt ahead of all its competitors, overtaken the imports, overtaken the domestics. Ford Ranger, now #1 in compact pickups. #1 in sales. In North America, Ranger outsells Chevy S10, Toyota, and Nissan. #1 in quality. Owner survey shows no one beats Ranger, import or domestic. And now Ranger is #1 in price, lowest of any compact pickup. Ford Ranger, #1 in quality, sales, and value. And built Ford tough.
Monday, Labor Day. CFL action on CBC will come from Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton as the Ticats entertain the Montreal Concord. Check your local listings for the telecast time in your area. John Hufnagel, his second offensive series. The pitch to Willard Reed. First down, Winnipeg. Perry Irvin and Jackson combined to bring down the Winnipeg running back.
I don't think Willard Reeves has been held short of a first down any time they've tried that play this afternoon, and one time it broke for 50 or 60 yards. I don't know why they don't keep repeating it until the Saskatchewan Roughriders take it away from them.
Now they're measuring to see if it is a first down, and the measurement confirms that Willard Reeves got better than 10, very close to 11 yards. Willard Reeves now has 93 yards. He came into the game as the leading rusher in the CFL with 621 yards, and he shouldn't have any problems this season with 8 games still remaining to go over that 1,000-yard mark.
And he's got to get a lot of consideration for our Carling O'Keefe Offensive Player of the Game.
Hufnagel is caught and dropped by Rick Moore at the line of scrimmage. He may have lost the yard in the play.
One of Hufnagel's biggest assets is not running with the football, Ron.
Well, it's a well-executed play, but Rick Moore does a good job defensively. He contains them, forces them to step inside, and then he comes back and makes a tackle.
We hadn't heard much from Moyer in the past couple ball games, but he's been very evident out here this afternoon. Looks a little bit like he looked last year when he was with the Argos.
Kevin Naylor into the ball game, replacing Rick House. On second down, Hufnagel is going to run the football, and he'll get the first down. Eddie Lowe pulled the feet out from under the Bomber quarterback, but he got the first down.
It wasn't a bad run, Leo. Watch him back to throw. They got a little game inside, and that opens the seam. See, he got room to run. He needs 10. Got about 12.
Winnipeg first and 10. The ball is at the 43. Hufnagel's in trouble. Rick Moore came in to make the stop and dropped the Winnipeg quarterback for a loss as Hufnagel was trying to move up into the pocket.
Chris Walby was a little upset with himself because Moores has beaten him again. Hufnagel has enough time. He's running out of it now. Moores is going to come around to make the sack. A little bit of help from up front. But Walby can't be too upset because he had enough time to throw.
Anytime you give a quarterback that much time, somebody is bound, even if they run downfield 20 yards, to come back to make the tackle.
Second and 16 for the Bombers. Hufnagel trying to run again, this time hauled down by Rick Goltz. And again, Winnipeg is forced to kick it away.
And while we're waiting, for the change right here, this program is copyrighted and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
Cameron stands at his own 28-yard line. Again, they're going after it. Hinton coming from that right side. He almost got to him. Fran McDermott on the return, and he is stopped at the 20-yard line. A 52-yard kick by Bob Cameron under good pressure. Delbert Fowler was downfield to make the tackle, but watch number 28, Ken Hinton, come from the right side.
Well, they come after it last time also. There's a lot of white jerseys getting in there a little fast. Cameron tried to act, but once that foot hits the ground, he's not protected anymore.
Statistically, the Riders don't have bad figures on the board, but they trail 35-14 with now 2:25 remaining. The ball is fumbled. Winnipeg appears to have recovered. Craig Ellis fumbled the ball on the exchange from quarterback Homer Jordan and Stan McCullough. Homer on that loose football.
Homer Jones tries a reverse pivot right here, and a handoff, and the ball carrier's already past him, hits him on the side of the hip, and the ball comes loose. Winnipeg recovers it. A lot of times that happens when you change quarterbacks, and he doesn't have his timing down pat, doesn't have the snap signal just the way he wants it, and gets the ball a little bit late. And that's another real bad break. As far as the real bad break, as far as the Saskatchewan team is concerned, because it's going to be tough to keep Winnipeg off the scoreboard again.
Stan McCoy is a Winnipeg product who played his college ball at North Dakota. He did not start the game, but has taken over at that nose guard position for the injured Doug McIver. Willard Reeves goes inside, but gets just 3 yards.
That's that inside between tackles again, giving the ball to Reeves. I don't know why they don't give him the toss play down here. He's been averaging 10 yards every time he's carried the ball all afternoon.
Reeves needs just 4 more yards to go over the 100-yard mark. It is 2nd and 7. The ball is at the 18.
He's going to walk in.
Going to run it. He'll score.
Well, that can happen against that defense. There's not much you can do about it. In the style of defense that they play, if those backs go out of there, that middle will just open right up.
You know, that wasn't a quarterback draw play, but it just simulated a quarterback draw about as much as you can see it. Because when he went back there, he went back with the intent to throw, but as you say, the backs went out of the backfield, took all the linebackers. There was nobody left there, so he just stepped up inside, split that defensive rush, and scored the touchdown.
Nothing to it.
And nothing to it for Trevor Kennard with the point after as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers move in front 42-14. 1:18 now remaining in the third quarter. After that fumble recovery, the Bombers in just 2 plays scored the touchdown. Hufnagel running for 18 yards. This is the 3rd consecutive game that the Bombers have scored more than 40 points.
Well, they've been playing well lately, and they were a little rusty at the start today, but that little bit of thing at the start of the third quarter, Leo, the quick touchdown and then the fumble and another touchdown, they've really just sparked them.
Well, when you take a look at this run, this whole drive and the last 3 touchdowns, to some extent they've been unearned, and it really makes the Saskatchewan Roughriders look like they're getting badly beaten, and statistically they're not really beaten that badly at all. But when the tide starts rolling, it keeps on rolling, and right now the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are on a big roll.
Kicking it deep again to Craig Ellis. He starts out from about 5 yards into the goal area. Fumbles the football. Winnipeg's got it. Donovan Rose comes up with the ball. Scott Flagel took the feet out from under Craig Ellis, and Donovan Rose recovered.
You know, there was an interesting stat when you did them at halftime, Don. No turnovers for Saskatchewan. Every time they've turned it over, the Bombers have scored, and here comes another one. As you said, Scott Flagel comes in from the side, the ball's loose, Rose gets it. They're in great position to score again. Those turnovers will kill you.
Boy, the sidelines for the Saskatchewan Roughriders are in melee right now, and you can imagine how Ruben Berry feels, because in the space of a very little time, it's 3 or 4 touchdowns have been scored on his team.
And Winnipeg threatening to score again. There's that pitch to Willard Reeves. Penalty flags on the play as Reeves is dropped for a loss. 48 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 27,213 in attendance at Winnipeg Stadium this afternoon. A holding call against Winnipeg. Jerry Friesen looking over to the bench to see whether or not they should take the penalty. And they have decided to move Winnipeg back to 10 yards, making it 1st and 20 from the 40 or 36-yard line.
Winnipeg number 25. First down repeated.
You know, you give them that, take that penalty. You take that penalty here, you'll see number 25 in your picture coming right here holding. And that's not fair. They'll throw the flag on you when you do that. But I don't really realize why they took that penalty there, because they've given the Blue Bombers 2 extra tries now, and they haven't taken them out of field goal range.
You see that pass right there now? It was not completed, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders came at him with a blitz. pick it up and go and try to score on that thing. He sends Jeff Boyd to the post and just overthrows it. But you don't see number 4 Suter back there anywhere because he had to come up, and it's one-on-one to the goal line. He took the chance, didn't get it.
So it's 2nd and 10 from the 36-yard line. 25 seconds the time remaining in this third quarter. Huffnagel looking for Willard Reeves. Almost appeared as though Reeves wasn't quite ready for that pass.
You know what happens here? The last time they ran this pass to Willard Reeves, they got a touchdown. But this time, the Saskatchewan Roughriders did not play a man-to-man defense. Watch it. He's going to come across and watch for the pick. But the linebackers are playing zone, so they don't care about where they go. They just stay there, and Willard Reeves is not open, and that linebacker's sitting there waiting on him. Watch. Here he comes. Not in a man-to-man. You can't run it.
So Trevor Kennard will try for 3 from 43 yards out. This should be the final play of the third quarter. The kick is good. And after 3 quarters of play, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead the Saskatchewan Roughriders 45-14.
How's it going, Dad?
Oh, it's okay, I guess.
We all could see it coming. Dad, it's time we had to talk about computers. And now that time's at hand. Come on, these guys are smart.
Big friends with the future at Computerland. Big friends with the future at Computerland.
We've helped more kinds of people buy more kinds of computers than any other store in the world.
Boy, he's really catching on. I'm very proud of him.
You fought for every yard. Now there's only one left. There's no second best for you in the game you play or the beer you choose.
That's why you just say OB for that great taste is here. OB, OB, oh yeah. You just say OB.
Sitting down at the Bomber bench, Doug McIver, the nose guard, who was injured on the first couple of plays in the opening quarter. And obviously, McIver has some problems with that right knee. Stan McCoas has taken over at the nose guard spot and has done a good job. He came up with a big fumble recovery that led to a Winnipeg touchdown. Homer Jordan completes the pass to Wallace. A first down at the 49-yard line. The first play of the fourth quarter as Donovan Rose made the tackle for Winnipeg.
All we get is the French goes straight out in the flat. The wide receiver runs a slant, and if this guy steps outside, you throw it inside. And that's what he did. Put it right on the numbers where he couldn't miss it. Good coverage, but the ball's right on the chest.
Back to the live action. Homer Jordan gets away from the initial penetration. The pass almost picked off. It was intended for Wallace. He was being covered by Vernon Paul.
Now, Homer Jordan's rolling out to his left and trying to throw back to his right. That's the most difficult pass in the world for a right-handed thrower.
And he threw it high, which
threw it high, and it's lucky that he didn't get it intercepted.
Well, the Blue Bombers have done a fair bit of substituting defensively. They've got Vernon Paul in there at the linebacking position. John Pitts is also in there as they give a rest to Frank Robinson and Tyrone Jones. Second and 10 from the 49. Swinging it out to Craig Ellis. He fought for some additional yards, got up to the 54, but will be 5 yards short of a first down, stopped by Aaron Brown. Well, turnovers in the third quarter certainly caused problems for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Just amounted to 3 quick touchdowns.
Third and 5, Paul Hickey. started his CFL career with the Edmonton Eskimos, picked up by the Saskatchewan Roughriders this year. He gets away a good kick. Haley fields it at the 6-yard line. Haley spins his way out to the 9. Stopped there by Mike Anderson. So that's where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will scrimmage 1st and 10 at their own 9 with 13:23 remaining in the ballgame.
You've rehearsed it 1,000 times. Yet it's never the same way twice. There's no second best for you in the game you play or the beer you choose.
That's why you just say OB for that great tasting beer. OB, OB, oh yeah. You just say OB.
Come on, Canada. Join the Ford Best Built Quality Celebration. It's Tempo and Topaz's 1st anniversary, and we're featuring low prices on the most successful new car names of '84. Get up to $912 off right now on front-wheel drive Tempo and Topaz, 2 of the most technologically advanced cars on the road today, from the maker of the best-built North American cars and trucks. Come in during our quality celebration now for best-built quality and value.
Second to none. At Ford, quality is your point.
The Bombers back at their own 9-yard line. This win, and it seems rather certain that Winnipeg will pick up 2 points, would move Winnipeg into a first-place tie in the West with the British Columbia Lions with identical records of 7 wins and 1 defeat. The Lions last night, 15-4 victors over the Calgary Stampeders. The Lions have next weekend off. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers travel to Taylor Field for a return battle with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Willard Reeves finds a hole inside. He has a gain of 8 yards. A counter play with the Winnipeg running back, and that puts him over the 100-yard mark.
Now, as far as Saskatchewan is concerned right now, they ought to just throw cares to the wind and go after him, blitz, do anything they want to do.
Chris Walby on this counter is going to make that block right there, and that's what opens the scene for him. Nice, well blocked. Got that head in, took that momentum away, and opened the crack, and Reeves took it.
That's a pretty good job of agility by Walby, as big as he is, to get across there. And that's a tackle trap, and that's quite a distance for him to go, but it was timed perfectly.
Just couldn't do it. He couldn't draw it up any better.
Well, they placed that ball at the 24-yard line, and that was a first down for Winnipeg. A counter again with Willard Reeves inside for a pickup of about 3.
Said it worked so well, we'll come back and try it again.
He went back in there and trapped Al Johns again, got a good block on him again, but somebody on the inside recovered and made the play.
The injured Winnipeg player is veteran center John Bonk. John tomorrow will be celebrating, as we mentioned earlier, his 34th birthday. Perhaps on the replay we can see what happened. Bonk, he had one of the Saskatchewan defensive players roll over his leg and then had another one dumped on top of him.
Yeah, they pinned him down on one side and bent him over the other. That's tough.
Something that all the offensive linemen with Winnipeg wear are those special knee braces. You can see one on the right knee of John Bonk, and apparently he's okay. John was telling us a couple of times last year that he felt that knee brace saved him from very serious injury. It's compulsory with Winnipeg offensive linemen to wear them.
Looks like it might have saved him that time.
I think it did. It really saved him because he really got that knee trapped under him.
Mark Moores goes to center. Peter Vandenbos moves in at the guard spot. 2nd and 7. Hufnagel won't get a chance to throw it. He has 4 defenders draped all over him. Rick Goltz made the initial contact, and Al Johns came in to finish off the job. Johns has played pretty well at that defensive tackle position.
He's had a good day today. That's good to see for Al Johns. He's been waiting a long time to become a starter.
John Bonk back into the ball game. John Hufnagel taking over late in the 3rd quarter from Tom Clements. Since being inserted in at that quarterbacking position, he has led Winnipeg to 10 points. Pretty good average for Bob Cameron. And 5 kicks. 50 yards per kick is the average. Fran McDermott goes back to his own 42-yard line. Oh, good downfield tackle in the open field. Peter Vandenbos came flying through there to nail Fran McDermott. With 11:34 remaining in the ball game, it's Winnipeg 45, Saskatchewan 14.
What's this? Says here Super Lotto's having another bonus draw. Bonus prizes of $10,000. Is that possible? 500 of them. Do you believe that? Why, just anyone can go out and buy a Super Lotto ticket and win a $10,000 bonus prize. In fact, 500 anyones can win $10,000. Can you imagine? Anyone, $10,000 richer. Just like, wake up, you two. Ha!
Welcome, contestants. Are you ready? The topic, the economy. Your question, would the Conservatives use stimulative spending?
Yes, no.
Let's try another. If there was spending, should it start now or be phased in?
Now.
Maybe we can get this one. How much would it cost Canadian taxpayers for Conservative election promises?
20 billion. Don't answer.
For decisive new leadership, vote Liberal.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers not only lead on the scoreboard, but they've opened up quite a spread statistically now. They have much more balance between their running and passing attack than do the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Basically, the Riders have only been able to move the ball through the air. They started the game with Joe Paupow. They now have Homer Jordan at quarterback. He gives to Craig Ellis, and Ellis gets to the outside. Will have a gain of 9, maybe even 10 yards. Now, a CFL update. Here's Don Martin. Well, we'll try and provide some information as to what is taking place at CNE Stadium in just a moment. But right now, let's check that last play.
You'll see right here, it's a misdirection play again. The guard and tackle are both coming around, leading it. This is the play that Montreal has performed so well in the last couple of games, and everybody's using it. It's got a real bite on that defense.
Homer Jordan keeping the football and picking up the first down on 2nd and 1. It's been a rough afternoon for Ruben Barry. It's been a rough season for the Saskatchewan head coach. Offensively, his team is performing better today than it did a week ago against the Calgary Stampeders. But costly turnovers in the third quarter pretty well put the game beyond reach. Craig Ellis dives inside for 2 yards.
You take away 3 touchdowns, which in a large sense were unearned, and you've got a score of 24-14, and it's still a real good football game. And statistically, when the game is all finished, it won't be a question of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers knocking this team off the field. It'll just be a question of errors by the offense and the defense of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Second down, Saskatchewan. Homer Jordan is going to run with the football, and he'll get the first down as he crosses midfield. Brought down by Tony Norman at the 53 of Winnipeg. 9:24 is the time remaining in the game.
Just watching Homer Jordan run, you can tell he's run before, hasn't he, Leo?
Yeah, this is a big part of his in college, running with the football. And this is what should make him a dangerous quarterback in the CFL if he just stays around long enough to get some experience.
Stu Fraser comes into the ball game. Mike Collymore goes out for Saskatchewan.
Here comes the blitz.
Pass complete over the middle for a first down to Greg Bigger.
What happened, you see Frank Robinson on the blitz. Delbert Fowler ran out there with the back, and that opened the middle up, and Greg Bigger found it. Homer Jordan found him.
He had some coverage on the inside that time, but he just worked himself around the linebacker coverage and got himself open. Homer Jordan found him.
On first down, Craig Ellis with a hole, and Craig Ellis gets to the 27-yard line. Stopped there by Scott Flagel. A 16-yard run by Craig Ellis. He now has 62 rushing yards for this game.
Laurie Skullroot will go here. Aldag comes out and makes the block for him. And watch Craig Ellis cut right in behind the block. Good job.
And Craig Ellis again with another first down. Stopped by Ken Haley. Well, we suggested earlier that the Riders didn't have much balance between their rushing and passing attack, but on the last few plays, Craig Ellis has certainly been getting a lot of work, and he's been responding to the extra duty as he picks up back-to-back first downs, carrying to the Winnipeg 16.
Just take a look at those first downs. And 19 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and only 17 for Winnipeg.
Great Figure this time, and Figure gets to the 2.
They're shredding that defensive line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now, just knocking them right off the line of scrimmage. And it's just a good thing as far as Winnipeg is concerned. It's a good thing as far as Winnipeg is concerned that they got those easy touchdowns. Look at that blocking in there. And a good job by Figure of following the blocks and hitting the seams.
Skullroot turned out on the defensive end, and when he left him, he went through and got the linebacker, and that allows Figure to make the goal.
6:43, the time remaining in the game. And the touchdown for Craig Ellis as he dives into the end zone. And that makes it 45-20. Unfortunately for the green and white, I think time is going to be their big enemy in any hopes they may hold of making a late comeback.
Just the lead play with Great Figure leading, and then Ellis just tries to find any way at all to get in that end zone. Went in pretty easily.
Ellis was expecting some linebacker to stick him right in the numbers that time. There's nobody there. Just like pushing against the door that you think is locked, and then all of a sudden finding it's open and going hurtling through space. That's what he did on that play.
Well, Sandy Monteith, the Flame, preparing to celebrate that touchdown. Now the two-point conversion try. Homer Jordan will run it in. So the Saskatchewan Roughriders get their 22nd point. It's now 45-22. Winnipeg leading with 6:33 remaining.
Get him! Get him! Get him! Oh, no! Door's open! How you doing? Hey, guys, did we win?
Hey, we even brought the beer.
All right!
When you get together, get a great get-together pack. The OV-18 pack.
That's why you just say your people that great tasting beer.
How'd you win without me?
OV-18, oh yeah, you just say OV.
So you want to work for Midas, huh? Here you're fast.
Fastest there is.
Can you prove it?
Sure, Chief. Whose car?
Mine, hotshot.
Fast enough for you, Chief?
Fast and loose. Huh? Just not good enough for the Midas guarantee.
At Midas, first you get good, then you get fast.
You are number one on my list. That's what our customers tell us.
Winnipeg leading by 23 with 6:33 remaining in the game. Craig Ellis scoring the touchdown. Homer Jordan adding the two-point conversion. Craig Ellis shaken up on the play. But judging by his reaction on that Saskatchewan bench, he's okay. The Rough Riders preparing to kick off. And they try and kick off short, but Joe Poplawski deflects it out of bounds.
It looked to me like a kind of a faint effort on some of the Saskatchewan players going down to cover that kick. They didn't really look like they wanted the ball that badly.
Next Monday, 1 week from tomorrow, Labor Day action from Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton as the Ticats take on the Montreal Concord. Hamilton, suffering a loss on Friday night at the hands of the Edmonton Eskimos, and at CNE Stadium in Toronto this afternoon. Into the fourth quarter, the Toronto Argonauts are leading the Montreal Concord 16-14. Willard Reeves slashes his way off tackle for 7 yards, stopped by Al Johns. Well, I think Willard Reeves certainly merits consideration for our Carling O'Keefe Offensive Game Star Award.
Does an excellent job of finding his way into the open spots. That's that handoff that he gets off of the sprint action. Actually, that defensive end shouldn't be that intent on stopping John Huffnagel on the sprint action because he's not going to go anywhere anyhow.
Huffnagel pitches it off to Willard Reeves. Winnipeg has a first down.
That was a heads-up play by Huffnagel. He had to bring the ball down and run with it. You watch, he goes back here and takes a look downfield, doesn't see anything, decides to run with the ball, and then sees himself being closed in on, uses his head and gets the ball out to Reeves, and Reeves almost makes a first down on it. Does make a first down on it.
First and 10. The ball is at the 37 of the Saskatchewan Roughriders with 5:05 remaining. Jeff Boyd is wide open. Boyd tried to put a couple of moves on Ken Hinton. He was having none of it. Now let's go to Toronto for a CFL update.
It's been a game of revolving quarterbacks in Toronto. Conrad Holloway is on for Joe Barnes. The handoff goes to Lester Brown. The 1-yard run-off tackle makes it 22-14, less than 10 minutes to play. Now back to Winnipeg, where Don Whitman is giving even money on the Bombers now.
Yes, I think I would give even money on that. 45-22. I might even give odds, Don Martin, with 4:25 remaining.
You always were a big bettor.
Willard Reeves gets the first down as he fights his way close to the 25. Ken Hinton and Jerry Friesen were both in on the stop. Not a bad afternoon's work for Willard Reeves, the leading rusher in the CFL, now 118 yards. Coach Cal Murphy has rather freely substituted in this fourth quarter, both offensively and defensively.
I think that's very smart because not only are these players getting tired from the heat, but they're in a position where they could be injured at this time. And when you're that far ahead in the ball game, it's smart to use some of your other players. It gives them a little game experience. We don't have that many in Canadian football.
Dan Hucklat out of bounds at about the 6-yard line. He one-handed that throw and then was forced out by Ken Hinton.
That's just a mix-up in the coverage. The slot back comes back across, and the fullback goes out in a flat, and one of those inside linebackers better go with him, or that's going to be the result.
Unless somebody got picked from the inside. I didn't see a wide receiver come across and pick, but one thing about Huffnagel, he'll stand on that sidelines and digest what's going on that defense, and his play selection is usually very good once he gets in the ball game.
Winnipeg first and goal from the 6-yard line. Into the end zone, incomplete. It was intended for Jerome Erdman. He had double coverage, McDermott and Hinton.
Hinton made a good move. Hinton had Boyd man-to-man, but he saw Huffnagel going to throw outside. He stopped. That left Boyd all alone in the back of the end zone. Boyd was a little disappointed. It's almost like Huffnagel had already decided where he was going. Look at Boyd go through there, nobody near him.
He had the ball for a moment, but that double duty of the defense right there, hitting him one from one side, one from the other, kicked it out.
Second and goal. Huffnagel into the end zone, incomplete. I'm not sure whether the intended receiver was Murphy, number 21, or Kevin Nealon. But it will be third and goal from the 6 with 2:55 remaining, and Winnipeg will probably try a field goal when we return.
John Anderson headlines KTEL International's Swingin' Country, a super new album starring T.G. Shepherd, Conway Twitty, Emily Lou Harris, and Earl Thomas Conley, Robbie Millsap, Johnny Lee, and Sylvia.
The country's hot with Waylon and Willie. To satisfy you. 16 of country's best on Swingin' Country from K-Tel. It's in stores now.
Petro-Canada is energy. To the people of Ontario, that means economic energy, fueling new investments, stimulating new technology, creating new jobs in manufacturing, engineering, transportation, steel. That's Petro-Canada's commitment. You can see it in Ontario. And wherever you see this sign, Petro-Canada, putting Canada first.
On 3rd and goal, Trevor Kennard lines up for a field goal attempt from the 14. And it is good. That makes it 48-22. The Blue Bombers leading the Saskatchewan Roughriders. As we said, the two teams return to Taylor Field in Regina next Sunday afternoon. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will share first place in the West with the British Columbia Lions, and with the Toronto Argonauts leading the Montreal Concorde, it looks as though they are going to increase their advantage to 6 points in the East. Difficult times lay ahead for Ruben Berry. I think it's safe to assume that Cal Murphy feels this one is all wrapped up now that he has removed the headset. Ruben Berry's team now with a record of 1 win, 6 losses, and a tie. Chris DeFrance takes the pass on the sidelines and then is hauled out of bounds by Ken Haley. Pickup of 23 yards on that completion to Chris DeFrance. Quite a movie buff. I understand he watches between 8 and 16 movies per week. I hope he's got a friend who's in the movie rental business. Pass complete to Craig Ellis. Penalty flag in the play as Ellis is stopped at the 45.
Ray Elgard took his motion and crossed the line of scrimmage prematurely, number 81. He was the culprit.
The illegal procedure assessed against Saskatchewan with 2:35 remaining in the game. As an injured Winnipeg player, slow in getting to his feet, is Frank Robinson. He's down again, favoring that knee.
Saskatchewan, number 81. First down repeated.
Good call, Leo. Ray Elgard, indeed, guilty of that illegal procedure. Frank Robinson, picked up by Winnipeg from the Saskatchewan Roughriders on July 2nd. He has played well at that linebacking position since he got a chance to start against the British Columbia Lions. That was his first appearance in a Winnipeg uniform. Wallace runs into a tackle from Haley at the 47-yard line. Haley leads the CFL.
Don, I think he thought he had something going there. And Haley, as so often he's done this year, came out of nowhere and really put some leather on him.
Penalty flag on the play as we swing back to the live action. Intended for Elgard, incomplete.
Tyrone Jones. Tyrone Jones got a little careless on that one. Tyrone says, I got a bonus for the amount of sacks that I get, so I got to get in there and get a couple of sacks toward the end of the game while the other team is a little bit lackadaisical, but he was a little bit premature that time.
First down.
So the penalty gives Saskatchewan a first down at the Winnipeg 42-yard line. 2:20 is the time now left in the ball game. Homer Jordan is in trouble. He picked up 2 yards before being hauled down by Tony Norman and Stan McCoas. And it will be 2nd and 8 as the Riders try to move quickly up over the ball. Pass to Craig Ellis, and He manages to stay in bounds and on his feet and has the first down to the 30-yard line. Initially, it appeared as though he was going to be going out of bounds short of the first down, but he maintained his balance and got that first down.
Just dumps that ball underneath. Now it's up to Ellis to outrun him. Does a good job. Looks like he's going to get a block from Collingwood, and that helps him get the first down. He stays in, fights, gets the first down, and lets him keep the drive alive. Homer's in trouble.
Managed to get the pass away, even though he had Delbert Fowler draped all over him. It was intended for Fager, incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10 from the 30. You know, you look at the scoreboard, 48-22 in favor of Winnipeg, and those who have not seen the game might think that that Saskatchewan defensive unit didn't play particularly well, but they really can't be blamed for a lot of the things that happened out there because turnovers kept them on the field in the third quarter as Winnipeg took advantage of the miscues by that Saskatchewan offensive squad.
Well, they sure did.
Take those 3 quick touchdowns away, and for the most part unearned, and the score is 48-43 right now.
Craig Ellis breaks a couple of tackles. He'll score. 30-yard touchdown for Craig Ellis. He took that pass and simply outran everybody into the end zone.
Wasn't much to it. He just sat in there and faked a block, caught the ball, and he did it all on his own. He just split the 2 guys and outran the 3rd one.
Boy, he ran right for that corner, too. He knew he was running out of field, but he knew that if he had to get in, he had to go to that corner and get it in there tight, and that's what he did. There's a young man that hasn't quit all afternoon.
The 2nd touchdown of the game for Craig Ellis.
And he certainly would be considered for our Carling O'Keefe game star. But the guy on the other side of the line, he's going to have to get some consideration, too, and I'm talking about James Reed.
Well, I think the heat may be taking its toll on Craig Ellis. At game time, at the start, it was 35 degrees. It went up a degree during the course of the game to 36, which converts to 97 degrees Fahrenheit. With Craig Ellis down on one knee in the end zone, Homer Jordan goes over to the bench to talk to Reuben Berry.
You saw a quick picture there of Cal Murphy on the sideline, and if there's one thing that really upsets Cal is that when he gets a good lead playing against a team, if his team lets down a little bit and allows some easy touchdowns or easy first downs, he feels that this is a reflection somewhere down the line as the season progresses on his football team that they shouldn't have these lapses, and he's upset about that right now.
The man standing beside him wearing the baseball cap is defensive coordinator Fred Glick.
Had a brother by the name of Gary Glick that was a first-round draft choice in the National Football League.
Again, the Rough Riders will try the 2-point conversion. Pass is picked off in the end zone by Donovan Rose. So the score holds at 48-28, Winnipeg leading Saskatchewan. And I think it's simply a case of too hot an afternoon here at Winnipeg Stadium for Craig Ellis as they drape that wet towel around his neck.
Now, Don, before I said that if it wasn't for those 3 touchdowns, the score would be 48-44 or something like that. What I was really meaning with my poor choice of arithmetic was to take those 21 points away right now from Winnipeg that they got. A lot of us feel undeservedly they'd only have 27 points. And take a look at the points now that Saskatchewan has, and Saskatchewan will be ahead in the ball game, 28-27. Now, can you figure that out, Ron?
Leo, I just listen. That makes no sense at all.
What's that old expression? Ifs and buts were candies and nuts. We'd all have a Merry Christmas.
You got it. I think they'll probably short kick this, Leo.
Yes, I think it's safe to assume that they will try the short kickoff. They bounce the ball, and it goes into the hands of Jerome Erdman. He lost it. Saskatchewan gets it.
Sure did.
Chris DeFrance recovered. Jerome Erdman had it at one time, or was it Sean Kehoe who may have had a hand on that ball? I think it may have been Sean Kehoe, as a matter of fact. Yes, it is Sean Kehoe.
And again, it looks like some Winnipeg players are standing around counting the score and taking for granted that everything is fine. And I know that Coach Cal Murphy is going to be upset because they don't have that same desire and frantic approach that they had earlier in the ball game when they were behind or even in the ball game.
1:38 is the time remaining. 48-28. Winnipeg leading Saskatchewan. Homer Jordan is buried. Tyrone Jones on top of him. Now another CFL update with Don Martin.
The Blue Jays could use a reliever like Conrad Holloway. He has struck again. The short pass to Terry Greer in the corner gives the Argos a 2-touchdown lead with just over 4 minutes to play. 29-14 Toronto. Looks like a 5th straight win on the way. Now back to Don Whitman in Winnipeg.
Yes, indeed, and the Toronto Argonauts will open up a 6-point lead atop the Eastern Conference standings. Next Friday night, they face the Ottawa Roughriders as Delbert Fowler is back to drop Homer Jordan at the 40-yard line. Now on Sunday, Winnipeg visits Saskatchewan, and then on Monday, Montreal's at Hamilton, Edmonton at Calgary. That Edmonton-Calgary battle could go a long way to determining third place in the Western Conference, as it seems certain that Winnipeg and BC will battle for first place.
Boy, that time Delbert Fowler just came right around Greg Feger, and Greg didn't even make an attempt to block him, and he just went right in and jumped all over Homer Jordan. The time before it was the linebacker on the other side.
Well, you're right. He was there in a hurry.
1:23, the time remaining in the ball game, as the clock is now running with Paul Hickey back in punt formation.
High punt.
The ball bounces to Ken Haley. And Haley is brought down at the 33. Jerry Friesen was there to make the tackle. That's where Winnipeg will take over after that 45-yard kick by Paul Hickey. 58 seconds remaining in the game. As we mentioned at the start of our telecast, the Blue Bombers, the hottest team in the CFL. They have now reeled off 7 consecutive victories after losing their season opener to the Calgary Stampeders.
It's a kind of a toss-up as to which is the hottest team out here this afternoon in this heat. And heat has played a big factor in this ball game. Both teams look like they're completely and totally drained at this time.
I don't think there's much doubt that the high temperature has certainly taken its toll. Sean Kehoe is stopped at the 35-yard line. A lot of people who normally operate in a backup capacity in there now for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Of course, with the 34-man roster, you don't have that many opportunities to make substitutions. .42 seconds remain. Winnipeg needs a first down here to run out the clock and solve away this 48-28 win. But they won't get it as Sean Kehoe attempts to go off tackle. He was grabbed by Rick Goltz.
Not exactly your most potent play at this time of the ball game, a straight handoff when you need about 7 yards for a first down or 8 yards.
Cal Murphy started in the Canadian Football League with British Columbia Lions. He was head coach there, then went to the Edmonton Eskimos, to the Montreal Concord, then to the Edmonton Eskimos, and came over as head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And he's done a fine job in putting together a strong contender in Winnipeg.
There's been a consistency of winning wherever he's been since he left the BC Lions. Went to the Montreal Alouettes and saw some Grey Cup action. Went to the Edmonton and got a bunch of rings on his finger, and then come over here and looks like he could have a Grey Cup team here.
Fran McDermott takes the punt, tries to go down the sidelines, and gets it out to the 34-yard line. That was a 47-yard kick by Bob Cameron. Scott Flake goes downfield to make the tackle with 5 seconds remaining in the ball game.
There'll be an argument out in BC about who's going to be in that Grey Cup, though, and when that game does come up, it's going to be a great one.
Well, first place in the West could very well be decided on the 27th of October, the final game of the season for Winnipeg and British Columbia, and they play under the dome in Vancouver. The clock will not start until the ball is snapped, but this should be the final play of the game.
The surprising team in the West, though, is the Edmonton Eskimos, the way they're playing right now.
To the sidelines and going out of bounds is Mike Collymore, and that is the ball game. Winnipeg Blue Bombers victors by a score of 48-28, and with their 7th straight win, they move into a tie for first place in the West with the British Columbia Lions. The two teams with identical records of 7 wins and 1 loss at the halfway point of the 1984 season. Cal Murphy moving out onto the field, accepting congratulations from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Coach Reuben Berry, and the two teams meet again next Sunday at Taylor Field in Regina. So Cal Murphy has to be pleased with the way his team has performed this afternoon here in Winnipeg. The two kickers, Dave Ridgway and Trevor Kennard, discussing the events of the day. Ridgway, of course, establishing a CFL record with 8 field goals in a game earlier this year against the Ottawa Roughriders, and Trevor Kennard, a very consistent performer for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for the last couple of years. Bob Cameron and Stu Fraser also engaged in some post-game conversation, discussing the events of the day, things that took place here at Winnipeg Stadium in the heat, 36 degrees the temperature, and a Winnipeg victory, 48-28, as the two sides now prepare to go at it again next Sunday afternoon at Taylor Field in Regina. Well, Cal Murphy is standing by on the sidelines. Cal, congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Don.
Cal, what about the heat? Did it take much of a toll on the players? How did they feel coming off of the bench?
Well, I think, you know, we had some cramps, but other than that, I think we weathered it pretty well. It was hot down here, there's no question about it, and I think it took its toll on our defense a little bit. You know, they had the ball, a couple turnovers, and we scored off it. And then they had to go right back out there, and it's a little bit tough on them.
Well, you took advantage of a couple of Saskatchewan turnovers very quickly in the third quarter. You put the game beyond reach.
Well, yeah, we sure did, and I think the defense did. You know, they came up with the big turnovers at the right time, and I don't know. It was just we had a hard time sustaining anything offensively for a while, but you know, Saskatchewan's got a pretty darn good defense, so you got to give them some credit.
Cal, I thought that you might have been a little bit disgruntled on the sidelines there a couple times when maybe you had a couple letdowns with your defensive unit, and even on those onside kicks, it looked like that maybe due to the heat that the players were a little tired and weren't giving all out. And I could see you kind of shaking your head as much as to say that it's all right in this ball game because we're far enough ahead to win this one, but we can't play like that down the line and expect to be the big win the big ones.
Well, not only that, but we got to go back over to Regina next week, and if you give them some breath, you know, they think there's some hope over there, and we should be tougher than that, I think. We have to be tougher than that, and whether you're tired or not, you still have to play in it. They're playing in it. But, you know, you got to be satisfied. It was 2 points, and 2 points for the good guys, and we're back in first place again, so that helps.
Cal, when you moved John Hufnagel in the third quarter, no particular reason for it. You just decided to make a switch in quarterbacks?
Well, we just felt that John has to play as well. There's no sense letting him sit on the sidelines and give him some playing time. He hasn't played a heck of a lot recently, and the longer he sits out, the rustier is going to get him. It's just like going in a training camp if he gets in a ball game. So I think it's important that he gets in there and gets under fire, because otherwise, as I say, when it comes down to it, when you need him, he won't be ready.
Well, Cal, congratulations, and more, it looks as though first place in the West will be decided in that October 27th game against the British Columbia Lions in Vancouver. Cal Murphy and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeating the Saskatchewan Roughriders this afternoon by a score of 48-28 here at Winnipeg Stadium. And our post-game show will continue after we pause for this message.
There's no better time than now to practice moderation. So when you celebrate with friends over a cold one, try this one. There's a clear difference between this beer and most others. This is Tri-Lite Extra Light. This beer has half the alcohol of regular beers, 2.5% alcohol by volume.
Now you can see your way clear. Try Tri-Lite, the Extra Light tasting beer.
Try the taste of moderation.
more Montreal, more Winnipeg, more Calgary, more Edmonton, more Toronto.
The business traveler. Air Canada has more flights, more often, with more non-stops to more major Canadian cities than any other airline.
Winnipeg, more Calgary.
And moreover, their superb connoisseur service.
More Halifax, more Ottawa.
Fly Air Canada and get more.
More Vancouver, more...
And now, let's meet the Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars.
And our choices this afternoon, Willard Reeves and Aaron Brown of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Gentlemen, congratulations. And first of all, Willard, another 100-plus rushing game. You have to be pleased.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with the offensive line. Opened the hose up real good for us. And we just, really just run the ball. That's all I can do.
One play that was particularly effective for you this afternoon, it seemed, was that toss. I think you got 51 yards early in the ball game on it.
Yeah, the toss worked like we said it would work, depending on what defense they were in. They happened to be in the defense that we wanted to be, that we wanted them to be in at the time. So Tommy audibilized to the sweep, and we ran left, and it was wide open.
Well, Willard, in the third quarter, you scored a touchdown. Let's take a look at it. Maybe you can describe it for us.
Okay, this is just a typical play that we go right across the middle. It's man-to-man. If he's like that, I'm supposed to just run without stopping, just turn it up and go. If it had been in a zone, I would have had to stop, but so happened they were man-to-man, so I just went in. So.
Willard, I think later in the ball game you run that same play, and they weren't in the man-for-man, and they were in the zone, and when you got in there and saw that linebacker standing in the zone, you kind of hesitated, and they threw the ball on your blind side.
Yeah, they were waiting for me that time.
All right, Willard Reeves, our offensive game star. Let's move over to the defensive game star, Aaron Brown. You had a big hit early in the ball game, Aaron, and then you made that interception return for a touchdown.
Thank you very much. I read the play very well. We were in a zone defense, and he happened to throw the ball on the out, and I was going to that particular area. All I had to do was catch it and take it in for a score.
Well, that's easier said than done many times. Let's take a look at it, though, and you can describe this interception and the return for the major score.
We were in the Sam cover 3, and it was Waggle, so I moved out knowing that I was looking at the play all week, and I knew he was going to throw it to that slot back. So what I did was just come across, and it was pretty simple. Just take the ball and run it in.
Well, the dream of every defensive player, and you knew from 10 yards out that you had nobody in front of you as he headed for the end zone.
Oh, no question. But other than that, Saskatchewan was a good team. They came back on us. I think we let down on defense our tempo, but hopefully we can pick it up next week when we go up to Saskatchewan.
Well, Aaron, last year you had an awful good defensive football team. This year it seems to be better. Would you agree with that? How good is it?
I think so. We're as good as we want to be. It's a long season with 16 games, but I feel overall we're playing consistent. Our offense is playing well, and the good thing, we're playing as a team, and we're getting turnovers for each other, and that helps. That keeps them on the field and keeps us off, and they do a good job with that.
You know, on that interception that you made, Aaron, you hung in there like a thief waiting for that ball to be thrown in the air, but you got a little bit of help. You'll see in the films when you take another look at it from your old buddy Fowler. He got in there and just got his body in front of the quarterback a little bit, and he didn't see you coming from that blind side in there. When the ball was in the air, you were right in perfect position to snatch it and run for the touchdown. So you owe him a steak dinner, you know.
Thank you very much.
Aaron Brown and Willard Reeves, our Carling O'Keefe Sports offensive and defensive game stars, and our sports game stars will receive a solid-state portable television set, compliments of Citizen.
We'll take that.
Now, for an update on that game at CNE Stadium, here's Don Martin.
The Concords are still in it. The draw goes to Dwayne Wilson, who breaks one tackle at the line, beats Bill Mitchell in the secondary, and Wilson is gone. The touchdown, two-point conversion, and single on the kickoff give the Concord an 8-point play and a chance to win it, 29-23 with 2:14 to go. Now back to Winnipeg and Don Whitney.
Well, Don Martin, that certainly could be a dramatic finish at CNE Stadium, and the Concord are playing very well. We saw evidence of it a week ago.
Well, there's no doubt about that. They played extremely well against Edmonton. To go into Toronto to CNE Stadium and play that well, it was a big, big game for them. They don't want them to get too far away from them in that race, but, you know, they're coming.
Well, they're not going to lay down and play dead, that's for sure. I think the Concords have got a lot going for them right now. And the one thing that they've got going for them more than anything else, I think, is their ability to run with the football. They're calling that running attack that they have over there the Galat Gallop. These guys put a lot of names on everything, but...
Well, you could call it here in Winnipeg the Reeves Romp, because he has been a key factor in Winnipeg's offensive scheme, a scheme that has produced better than 40 points in each of the last 3 games. They look very, very strong offensively.
Well, Don, it's like we've said before the ball game. I think the thing that makes the Winnipeg Blue Bombers such a great football team is their diversification. They can run when they have to, and that threat of that run with Reeves, especially going off tackle and on that toss play, keeps that defense from coming on that big rush on Clements and Huffnagel, you know, and takes a little pressure off them, gives them a little more time to run their passing attack.
Well, unless the Saskatchewan Roughriders can come up with a big effort on Sunday, Winnipeg's going to make it 8 in a row.
Oh, yeah, they're going to have their problems, but I'll tell you, they played better offensively today than I've seen them play in quite a while. But the defense was on the field a long time, and when you have the turnovers deep in your own end, you can't expect your defense to stop a football team like Winnipeg. No doubt about it.
Take 21 points away that they got in a heck of a hurry in that third quarter, and the score ends up 28-27 in favor of Regina. I mean, and you say, you can't take that away, and gifts and this and that and the other thing, but it was a wonderful comeback, though.
Well, you're still determined to work on that, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers score their 7th straight win this afternoon, 48-28 over Saskatchewan at Winnipeg Stadium. The executive producer of CFL football on CBC television is Bob Moyer. Today's game was produced by Hugh Carruthers. Our director, Brant Haywood. Mo Waters was in charge of our isolated cameras. And these are the other people who help make CFL football on CBC television possible. The final score this afternoon, Winnipeg 48, Saskatchewan 28. Now to CFL control in Toronto and Don Martin.
Thanks, Don. And with seconds to play, it is now 29-23. The Argos still in front of Montreal. Major League Baseball today, the Expos lose to San Diego. Atlanta, a shutout by the Chicago Cubs. In the American League, the Blue Jays win over Minnesota, but the Detroit Tigers, they keep rolling along. They win at 12-6 down in California. Join us next week, the Montreal Concords, Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Labor Day special. I'm Don Martin in Toronto. That's it for CFL 84. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.
CFL 84 has been brought to you by Carling O'Keefe, Brewers of OV, and the Carlsberg family. By Ford of Canada. At Ford, quality is job one. Driving is believing. And your local Petro-Canada dealers and agents, putting Canada first. And we thank you for watching CFL 84, a CBC sports presentation.
This is CBC.